Oh, it's the Good People with Erik and Hannah, episode number 19. It is the 15th of January, 2022. Whew. Well, it's a new year, Hannah.
It's a new year. This is our first podcast of 2022,
It's
like
the
the new
first
year.
podcast of 2022. It's the first podcast in over a month. Like, out of nowhere, we were like, we're going to take a vacation.
Although, in our defense, the end of 2021 was busy for us. It really was.
Oof.
Like,
That's an
it was,
understatement.
I know. I think it just, on top of like the moving and the wedding and the holidays, it was hard to sit down and even try to film something.
I really do think, like, yeah, we just needed a vacation.
We did.
We
Like
really,
an unannounced vacation.
like, we really,
But a
really
vacation.
needed a vacation, which I think.
Yeah.
As we talked about, like, as we go through like every one of these episodes and we talk about Twitch stuff and how it affects our lives and all that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and like how it's like we really need a vacation, like we just need to stop something. It's like a car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're speeding down the highway and you lose control and your tires start squealing. There's only two things you can do: you either let off the gas or you hit the brakes,
Right.
and that's the
Which
only way you're
is
going to get back control, or that's the only way you're going to get back into control of the
Mhm.
car. And we're like, okay, we will just hit the brakes.
That's why I don't blame creators for just taking those breaks. I mean, there's the assumption that like if you're a creator or you're streaming or you're on podcasts, it's probably like, oh, you just sit there and talk, and it's like there's a lot that goes behind everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
just like any job, you need a
Yeah.
vacation.
Like, we just don't come on here and we're like, oh, what are we going to, let's start talking about this. Like, no, we have meetings and we talk about what we're going to do for the next couple episodes. And like,
Hmm.
we talk about the stuff that's like interesting us and get back in
Hmm.
this one. And we come up with a plan for at least what we're going to do for the next month or 2 months. Like, we try to have a plan in
Yeah.
place, which is
You know
what,
what I was thinking though? It was funny because anytime you and I have meetings, I always think like whenever we have our meetings, we always end up on like conversation, and I'm like, technically, you could just film our meetings and make that an episode.
I'm going to do that one of these days.
And you're not gonna tell me.
I'm not going to
I'm
tell
gonna say
you.
something stupid and
I'm not going to tell you. And I'm just going to record one of the meetings and that'll be it.
like no makeup Hannah with her hair all crazy. Like you're not
Just how
even
we did
giving
the
me any
test
prep
the other
time.
night.
Oh, I looked so rough yesterday. Oh my gosh. Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah, but that technically was a test stream, so that's there.
it's a test stream. It's out there. It's in the internet somewhere.
It's
Someone's
on
gonna
the
find
internet.
it. Someone will
Oh
deep
yeah.
dive. If we ever get like Joe Rogan famous, someone is gonna deep dive and find this random test stream because we were having technical issues the past couple. So yeah, on that note, we had some technical issues the past couple episodes. We're hoping we have them resolved. We did a test stream and it seemed okay.
So, but
So
we do apologize if it happens
we
again.
do apologize if it's gonna happen again. We're working through them. We're trying to figure out what the exact issue is, and hopefully we do figure out what the exact issue is.
Hopefully.
You're looking fantastic in 2022, by the way.
Who, me?
No, me. Yes, you.
Oh. Thank you. It's the haircut.
So I guess we'll start rolling into this kind of thing. So before we start getting into like the ups and downs of 2020 and start
Mhm.
going through things, how was your holiday? How was your first Christmas as a married couple?
It was so nice. One of the hardest parts for me was, and I went through this like weird season like during Christmas time because for like 28 years of my life, Christmas has been with my family with like the same traditions over and over again. So there was this weird mourning process. And as Christmas got closer, I felt a lot of anxiety and like, wait, I'm not going to wake up in my room and be with my family and
Right.
do the things that we do. So like I had so much anxiety and like a sadness for it because you realize you're getting older. Like no matter what milestone you go through, whether it's like high school graduation, college graduation, wedding, baby, like those are big milestones that almost question like or it's more of a shock factor. You realize your life is not what it was for such a long period of time. And so Dustin was so gracious about it, and we woke up at like I think like 5:30 in the morning,
Oh,
5:30 in the morning, which is my family and I, we would wake up at like 6 to open gifts. Like we were like early morning
yeah.
starters. So Dustin and I woke up, we opened our gifts, and we just were enjoying our little Christmas. And then we got in the car, drove to my parents' house, and we were able to open gifts with them too. So we had our own thing, but then Dustin actually got to see what my Christmases have been
Oh,
like for
that's
the
so
last
sweet.
28 years. And like I got the taste of like, okay, just because I moved out doesn't mean I lost that. It's still there. Like we
So
walked in, my family was there with the gifts sorted, and
I
it was
totally see
nice.
where you're coming from because it does
Yeah.
become a thing. Now, your change wasn't as extreme as mine is. Like, I remember when my dad passed away,
Mhm.
my brother, and God bless him for it because he's the one that kind of like leads the charge on this thing. My brother is the one that kind of keeps like the traditions that my dad did alive.
Mhm.
So like the first week of December, he's out there at the weekend and he starts putting up the lights. He gets the tree out. He puts the tree up. We get ornaments. Like every year, one of our things is we get an ornament for every year and we hang
Ah,
them.
that's so
And
cute.
then to integrate my girlfriend kind of in the mix, I started doing the same thing. So like I actually bought her an ornament for herself this year and put her name on it in the year.
That's so cute.
She got a cute little like Wonder Woman Hallmark uh ornament, which Hallmark's tripping. Those things get more and more
Oh,
expensive every year.
we got some
Yeah.
because we had a theme to our tree. Like it was so exciting. I was
Yeah.
like, we have like a new tree that we get to start up on our own with like our own theming. And we went to the Hallmark store. We got a couple. They're pricey, but they're good quality. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to admit they're
There's now,
beautiful.
for those that aren't
Yeah.
like familiar with this, Hallmark now has like two different like price points for their ornaments. Like they have like the ones you can get at Walmart and Target, and they're like 5 to $10.
Yeah, they're not too pricey.
But
Those
if
aren't
you
too
want
bad.
like the legitimate like Hallmark, I think they're called keepsakes or something like that. I don't have any boxes
Yes.
anymore. I put them
Hmm.
away. But like the keepsake ornaments, which are highly collectible to some people, some of the Disney ones and stuff go for
Hmm.
exorbitant amounts of money. Star Wars, Star Trek, any of those collectible markets, they're more like $20 to $25 for
Hmm.
an
They are
ornament.
up there. But they're
So
gorgeous. The detail is
they literally, when I get them now,
incredible.
they are literally in the Christmas budget. Like this is one of your Christmas gifts because they've gotten
Hmm.
expensive. So like I bought Pal a cute little Wonder Woman one. She returned the fit and she bought me the cute little Super Nintendo that plays Mario when you click on it.
Oh, that's so
Oh, I
cute.
love it. And I have a little baby tree that I don't think it was in the background in the last episode, but I have a little baby tree that I pulled out of storage finally because I'm back in my own space by myself. So like I had a little
Hmm.
baby tree and then we decorated and stuff. And then Pal went to her mom's and did Christmas in the morning there. And then they do Christmas Eve at her house. They do the whole midnight
Hmm.
Christmas Eve thing. And then
Yeah.
in the morning, she drove to my mom's where I met up with her there. And then we did the family presents at my mom's house on Christmas morning.
That's
And
so
it was
sweet.
very sweet. Everything's like integrating and all that kind of stuff. And it's starting to
Hmm.
turn like into some normalcy.
Yeah.
She spent the holiday. This is the first time she'd spent the holidays like with my family in a way. And then after that, we came home and then we did our gifts, here in the evening. So we worked it out. It worked out great. What was the
That's
favorite? What was the favorite thing you got this year?
the favorite thing I got. I don't know if there's like a favorite thing, but like Dustin did really well this year. He did
Did he?
well. He got me new AirPods because the ones I had, I made like a mistake and I left them in my pants.
Oh,
And
and they went through the
then
wash.
washer, yep. And surprisingly, they worked.
Yeah.
They worked for months. But you almost had to have the volume cranked up to like 100% to get to like 50%. For you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I needed new ones. So he got me the pros. He got me a lot of books.
Ooh, the
Uh
pros.
the pros, I know. I was like, look at you.
Mine finally died. I'm in the
Mm.
Samsung side of things. Like I'm an Android person, so
Oh
I'm on the
yeah.
Samsung
Hmm.
side of things. And the ones they gave me for free like 2 or 3 years ago when I bought a phone finally started
Hmm.
dying. Like the Bluetooth didn't work
Oh.
anymore, and if it did, I had to crank it or whatever. So I'm like,
Mm.
and then I was like, all right. And then I went over to Samsung and I bought the Samsung like Buds Pros, which I guess they're not as nearly as expensive as the Apple
Mhm.
ones, but it's supposed to be the equivalent. So they
Mm.
sound
I
pretty
hear
good.
like yeah, like probably the fanciest I've ever seen are ones that my dad actually got where you are so immersed in the sound, but you can actually hear around you.
Uh huh.
I don't know how to explain it, but they're very expensive. Because I'm like that person. I don't like to be so immersed into noise that I can't hear my surroundings.
Is it
Like it freaks me out.
are the Like, I'm assuming they're over the heads. Your dad doesn't seem like an earbud
No.
guy. Oh, really?
No, they're earbuds, yeah, and they can connect to the TV. Like, if you have a smart TV, they can connect
Oh,
to your smart
wow.
TV,
Your
and
dad's getting up on
yeah.
that technological boat.
Oh, yeah, he likes I mean, for him, he's that person, he hates it if he can't hear around him, like
Yeah.
so, because for like he's always told me this too, like if I ever go running, which I don't, but like if I did, he doesn't like the idea of me having my AirPods in my ears because he's like, if someone comes up to grab you, I want
Right.
you to be able to hear what you're like who's around
Which
you,
your
which
AirPods
I don't
have.
blame him.
Your AirPods have
Yeah.
a setting for that. And all these earbuds do because it's for like traffic and stuff like that too. I'm one of those
Yeah.
dudes where I was like, when I was taking the train and stuff to work,
hmm
beep, and I heard nobody.
Oh, really?
Oh,
See,
yeah.
that doesn't make you anxious? Like, it freaks me out.
Look at the
It
size
really
of me.
does. That's true. No one's gonna mess with you.
Yeah, look at the size of me.
You just
So,
look down at them like, can I help you?
so like, yeah, but that's cool. So another thing I've been very, very excited about because
hmm
I'm just living vicariously through you is I think the record player gift worked.
Did. It did. We got I was telling Eric, like we had a meeting last week and I was late to the meeting because we stopped at a record store. Um it's so nice. Like I always thought like there's no reason to get one because of
Hmm.
technology. You can listen to whatever
Oh
you
yeah, for
want.
sure.
If anyone is on the fence about getting a record player, I would say get it if you actually want to sit and enjoy music. Because not that you can't like on Spotify or you can't on Apple
Right.
Music, but more so this forces you to go through every song and enjoy it as it was like intended in that order. Where Spotify, you hear a song you don't like, you just skip it, which has I realize has messed with like my attention span, which we'll go into later in the podcast because
Which
that's a
is
New Year's
it's
thing.
funny because you can actually skip songs on a record. I just haven't told you how to do it.
Can you? Well, I figured you can,
You
but like
can,
it
but
sounds
I
more of
never
like
I
a
didn't tell you how to do it on purpose because I
oh.
wanted you to actually like experience like hearing records because that's one of the biggest things that bothers me about music nowadays is kids don't listen
Mm-hmm.
to whole records anymore. They pick the songs they want to hear, whatever's on TikTok or whatever, and they just roll with it.
Right.
But now, like with a record, you put it on and you're supposed to hear the whole thing because it's a project. The band put a lot of work into that.
Mm-hmm.
But a little follow up for you. You wanted to ask how I felt about the Taylor Swift thing.
Oh yeah, because you listened.
I listened to both the old version and the re-recorded version of Red,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't
Right.
think it's her opus, but it's probably one of her most significant records in her career.
It's one of
It's
them.
the significant one probably. And I God damn it, Hannah made me a Swiftie.
Yay! Welcome.
It's actually I've always heard Taylor Swift in and out, big songs and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but I totally understand why people adore Taylor Swift. Both records now, I listen to both.
Mm-hmm.
Um it's kind of interesting, at least the way I interpreted it. The re-recordings, the big major songs that are on that record,
Right.
they feel and sound the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm listening to this from like a musician kind of perspective of things, where the
Mm-hmm.
other like B-sided stuff kind of it looks
Mm-hmm.
like she put a little more care and love into it and
Mm-hmm.
messed with them a little bit more. And I could tell there's like a tone in her voice the way she sings them. There's almost like a reminiscing about some
There
of these
is
songs that
like, and
aren't
that's what I had said in the
popular.
last podcast.
Yeah,
There was almost a more of a maturity. Like I felt that her old record was someone that was going through it, whereas this one it was like someone that is
looking back,
reflecting, looking back,
there's a
and so that's why I
reminiscing.
appreciate it.
The big
Yeah.
songs, like the big, huge, popular songs on that record, sound the same to me because she's probably played them
Mm-hmm.
millions of times on
Mm-hmm.
tour and blah 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 blah, and heard them a million times. Whereas the smaller tracks on Thing, which are some of my favorites on the Thing, actually,
I've
with
been listening to like All Too Well. That's like the 10-minute version gives me serotonin like no tomorrow.
it's just like I'm like, okay, I get it, and which is funny too because Taylor Swift's actually making like the punk community is actually earning like their punk. Taylor has earned the punk community's respect because she did one of the most punk rock things in music history was just say screw you, I'll just re-record everything.
I remember we were talking about that.
And I was like, but it's fantastic. So I'm glad. And you also bought one of the most important emo punk records of all time.
Yes. So Dustin and I went to a record store, and I'm very selective on what records I get. One, because I hate like, I've collected things, like, my entire life, and now that I'm older, I'm like, "I just don't wanna lug this around." You know, so I'm very selective of what I purchase, so I told myself I would do that with records.
Hmm.
I'll only purchase it if it's had a nostalgia impact on me, an emotional significance, or it was something really important to me. So they had, Welcome to the Black Parade, the My Chemical Romance, album, and so I picked it up because, like, that was my high school that like, My Chemical Romance for, like, all 4 years of high school, that was my thing.
Wait, did you hear it already? Like, have you listened to it?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I haven't sat down because I know you want me to film
I want to hear.
that reaction of, like, the piano, the
I
boom,
want to hear the
boom, boom,
piano.
boom.
I want to hear the G note piano. And I want to hear singing because it's a different feel.
Mhm.
It's a different feel. You know,
They had, what's the other one? The one with the song Helena on it.
that's
Is
Three
that
Cheers.
Three Cheers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was between, like, Three Cheers and Black Parade. I'm like, "Which one do I get?" Because they're both incredible. And
Three
I was like, I feel
Cheers.
like
Three Cheers, I think, hits me better.
does it?
Yeah.
It's the problem is I love songs on both albums.
Right.
So I think I will get it, but just at that time I was like, "You know what? I just need to hear that piano right in the beginning." Like that
I'm so
teenage
excited for
emo
you. Like, I'm
angst.
actually seriously excited for you because it's like I actually was able to open up a whole new like little world to you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and the Elvis album, because we haven't even got to talk about that
Oh
for
yes.
Christmas. So we talked about it on the last podcast. Dustin, his Christmas tradition was this Christmas Elvis album. And we found it at the record store. You can go back and listen in our previous episodes. But it was so nice to have like the Christmas decorations and just having that record playing with like Blue Christmas, and it was perfect. The aesthetic was great. Like there's something about a record player that brings like this aesthetic to
It
it that
brings a
just
vibe.
makes a vibe. It's just so perfect. I can't. So if you're thinking about getting one, just get one
Mhm.
already.
Yeah, just if you're really like on the fence of it and you want to, I actually helped a guy at a Target when we were Christmas shopping. He wanted to buy one of those suitcase Crosley ones that you get at like Urban Outfitters or Target or whatever. They're like
Mhm,
$60, $70 or whatever. I told him skip
mhm.
it, spend the extra 30 to 40 and buy this particular record player and you'll have a much better experience. And which is the same route we took for you when we were purchasing
Right.
your gift. Where like you'll have a much better experience with this one. So he was all excited. He was super excited. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go buy a bunch of records now." And I'm like, "Dude, have at it, enjoy. Just go and experience it and enjoy it." And I just love the fact
Mhm.
that people are buying records again.
Right.
And as much as of like a supporter of independent record stores that I am, which you should go buy
Mhm.
records, books, stuff like that, as at an independent place as much as you can, because that's where
Mhm.
you're gonna get the best experience with getting into this hobby. But I noticed even Target, like Target has all these exclusive like pressings and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know
Mhm.
what? If that's the only place you can get records and you don't have an independent record store, that's fine. Go ahead and get records.
Right.
If you want to buy records, please go buy records. I love that the TikTok community is bringing this thing back because I
Mhm.
talk about it so much because I've been doing it for over 20 years.
All right. Like
I
this is your
started in high
passion. This is where your
school.
heart is.
Yeah, like I started in high
Yeah.
school collecting records.
Mhm.
And almost everything else I've had has gone digital. Books, which we'll talk about in a second because I'm actually kind of excited
Oh.
about this. But books, comic books, video games, stuff like that. I've bought most of it in digital nowadays. But like I
Mhm.
keep buying physical records that I want to buy.
Mhm.
I'm running out of space. So like I have to be careful with like
Right, which is
with
like
it.
the big issue is the
Right.
space issue.
But like I'm so glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad it's becoming a thing. Are you navigating the record store better now? Like are you getting a better feel for it?
I am. Um it's what I find so fascinating is that it really feels like a treasure hunt,
Mhm.
which well, the last record store Dustin and I went to, it wasn't the same that we took you to when you were here.
Yeah.
But it's right next to like our comic shop, like our geeky shop. And because they're right next to each other, they have like records that are almost so exclusive to like that nerd culture. So like on the wall they had like Miyazaki film records,
Mhm.
and I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
A
And
lot of the
Dustin's
Mondo
trying to
stuff, I'm
find
guessing too, right? Like video game
yeah.
soundtracks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, video game soundtracks. They had like a bunch of Disney ones which were very difficult for me to walk away from. Like, I was like, "Aladdin? Yeah." And I was like, "No, we're not going to do that." So I was only gonna if I can find the Hunchback of Notre Dame soundtrack, that's my favorite Disney movie. So I'm on the hunt for that one, but I haven't
I'll
found it yet.
be I'll be on the hunt for you. If I
You
find it, I'll
I
ship
don't
it.
even know if they make it,
It's
but
probably out there somewhere. It has to be.
somewhere.
I'll find it. If
But
I
it was
find it, I'll ship
so
it.
okay, I love you.
I'll find if I find it, I'll ship it. Which is like
Right.
that's how it is. And I'm funny that you say it because you were like at
Yeah,
the thing and you're like, "Do you need anything?" And I'm like, because I don't know what it is, but stuff I was
right.
looking for a while, I found in Florida. Like nobody's business.
Really?
I was like, okay.
Next time you're down here, we'll take you to this other one.
I can't wait to
'Cause
get you to Amoeba because like Amoeba, you'll be like, oh my god.
I'll be like, "Oh, no, how am I gonna
But
ship
Amoeba
this to
has
my" oh,
everything. Amoeba has toys, books, the whole shebang. So,
okay.
um,
So I'll be spending a lot of money.
yeah, they have the whole shebang there. Amoeba's a mecca. But like, so, um, I'm glad you had a good Christmas. I'm glad you had a good
Yes, I'm glad
holiday.
you had a good one too.
I had a decent Christmas, yeah.
That's
Um,
good.
pal
I'm a little
got me
sad it's over, but
pal got me an awesome ice maker. So like I have this obsession with Chick-fil-A ice.
oh, it's the Chick-fil-A ice
It
one.
does not make the Chick-fil-A ice, but it does
Okay.
make soft chewable ice that it'll be hard once you put it in the freezer because it's not
Mhm.
intended to store the ice. It's intended to just make it and then you transfer it to your freezer.
Okay.
So, um, once you start, yes, it's hard once it comes straight out of the freezer, but once
Mhm.
liquid hits it, it starts getting soft and chewable, and I'm like all about it.
There are a few other places that have that ice. I think Racetrack has that ice.
I know Sonic and
Um,
Chick-fil-A get it from the same source. I'm gonna guess the place you just mentioned probably does too, but
mhm. Was
ice.
it you that told me you could actually buy it at Chick-fil-A, like
You
a
can
bag
go
of
to
it?
Chick-fil-A and you can buy a pound of ice.
Jeez.
It's like
And,
two
like,
or
that's
three
my
bucks.
favorite ice. Whenever I've gone to Chick-fil-A and I had to, like and I got a drink, like,
You get a cup of ice.
"Is it bad if I ask for extra ice?" I've done it before. I've put it on my order. I'm like, "Extra ice?" Like, even if they forgot my drink, like, it's fine because the ice is just so perfect.
It was good, but the ice maker is awesome. I got a lot of cool stuff. I got a brand new Ramones record for my brother, which I'm excited about. Brand new
Ooh.
demos from 1975, which I will sit and listen to, when I have some time and sink it all in.
Mhm.
I got a new controller for my Switch. And this is the
Nice.
kicker. I got physical books for Christmas this year, and I've already started
Same.
reading. So like I just mentioned, most of my books are digital now. Like I just get them on
Mhm.
Kindle and I call it a day. And it's nothing against, you know, bookstores or whatever. It's just like
Right.
space. My issues are
It's
space.
yeah.
Like
And also too, if you're commuting somewhere,
that's another
like
reason I have one.
yeah, it's just easier to carry a Kindle around
Hmm.
versus a book, depending on what book you're reading, you
Right.
know?
And like it's
So,
one of those
I get
things
it.
too where it's like, okay, let's say I finish Harry Potter book 2 or whatever and I'm all excited. I'm like, oh, what's happened now? But like I gotta wait till Barnes and Noble opens in the morning or my independent
Mhm.
bookstore opens in the morning. Whereas with the Kindle
Mhm.
thing, I can just click it and go and
I know.
it's right into it. So like, books, yes, my biggest issue is space. Like I wish
Mhm.
love to have a whole bookshelf full of space, like to put books and stuff in a library, but I just don't have the space for it. So like, yes, I'm a Kindle person in terms of books, but I
Mhm.
actually asked for this book in Kindle form, but my mom ordered it and I got the physical one. And I'm super, super excited about this. It's called Sellout by Dan Ozzie. And it's called Sellout, the major label feeding frenzy that swept punk, emo, and hardcore between 94 and 2007. So most of, our listeners here that know about this punk emo, like this emo pop, punk movement that happened in mid 2000s, these are the 11 bands that launched that frenzy between that era. And it's stories about each record that got pressed. And I'm excited about it because these are some of my favorite records ever. And it's
So
like
it's like a
backs
perfect book for
it's
you.
a perfect book for me. So like I'll just give a couple of random examples here. So like it talks about Green Day Dookie, which came out in 94, which actually probably launched pop punk again in the mid 90s. Blink 182 Dude Ranch, which came, in 99.
Mhm.
Probably the second biggest band to come out of that whole thing next to Green Day. And then we'll get more into like your era right here. So like it's right here, My Chemical Romance, Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, which is the major label debut for My Chemical Romance. Rise Again, Siren Sound of the Siren Song of the Counterculture, and Against Me Anyway. Like these are some of these records that I grew up listening to, and it's funny because I
Mhm.
was there when they came out.
Right. I'm glad she got it for you hard copy because I feel like that's one of those books that you're gonna want to have.
Right. And this man
Yeah.
is a fantastic writer. I don't know much about Dan Ozzie, but I know he wrote
Mhm.
Laura Jane Grace's, or he helped her write her biography. If you don't know who Laura Jane Grace is, Laura Jane Grace used to be Tom Gable, who was the frontman for Against Me, who then came out as a transsexual and then transitioned and became Laura Jane Grace. So he
Mm.
helped write her biography. So that's
Oh,
how I know.
okay.
But this is just like some of my favorite records, and I was there as a late teen, early 20s when most of these came out. So like it's a
Mm.
nice reminiscent of the era, and there's a lot of stories about these records that I didn't know. So
So, I mean, it's the perfect book for
it's the
you
perfect book for
because,
me. But it
yeah.
was funny though because I had books and I like put them in storage or I traded them into Goodwill
Mhm.
or whatever once I got the Kindle. But like I didn't have a little like light clip thing for when I read, because I read at night when I go to
Ah.
bed.
Mhm.
That's my
That's what I've been
reading
doing.
time.
Mhm.
I didn't have a light clip, so I was like, I had to go get a light clip. I didn't even have bookmarks. Like I don't have bookmarks.
Oh, did you doggy ear the books? Or did
No,
you
I
just
don't do
remember the
that
page?
anymore.
Okay.
I stopped dog earing the books. Like once all the ones I gave away and stuff, I was like, if I get any new books, I'm not dog earing them anymore.
Right. So
Um,
how did you just remember the page?
I took a picture on my phone, and then I went to like we have an Amazon store, like a physical Amazon storefront here,
Uh-huh.
because unfortunately, due to COVID, the Barnes and Noble was closed like 3 hours early due to staff.
No. Oh, I thought you meant it was closed. I was
No,
like,
it's closed like due to staff, apparently, staffing
okay.
issues. So I was
Mm.
unfortunate because I wanted a nice bookmark. But unfortunately, I went to this Amazon storefront where they sell books and Amazon, like stuff they sell on Amazon, top four type stuff, right? Popular things. So I went
Mhm.
in there and she was like, "Oh yeah, we have free bookmarks," and she gave me a bookmark because they sell books in there too.
Oh, okay, that's
And then I
good.
got a little clip light and stuff. But this is like stuff I didn't have anymore because I got rid of it because I got rid of physical books.
Right.
So I was
That's you
like,
know what I want to do is I want to, whenever we end up moving to a different place or if we get a home, I want to get one of those like drill-in lights that go but like against the wall of the bed and
the
then
ones you can weave and.
yeah, you see them at like hotels now.
Hmm.
Like you just fling them on and it's just like a little light that
Yeah.
goes like so I would love one
But
of those.
it's been
I
fun holding a like it's been fun reading like a
yeah, oh
physical
yeah.
book again. That was one of the things that was
I go
getting
through
me.
stages
It was
with
getting
it.
me where I was like, because I was buying books for other people for Christmas, and I was in
Mhm.
Barnes and Noble or whatever, where I could find stuff, and they had all the books like laid out on the table. The covers, I miss the covers. It's the same with comic books.
Mhm.
Like I love the covers,
Right.
and I see the covers, and the covers. It's just like records. I see covers that grab me, and I go and I look and I see what
Mhm.
it's about.
Yeah, that's like the whole "don't judge a book by its cover." I'm like, I am because if I see a cover that just attracts my eye, I'll go and I'll read the summary and I'll be like, oh, but if it has like a dead looking cover, I'm just gonna be like, I'm not gonna grab it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
covers are
I get that.
definitely a thing for me.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
it was a good year. I bought Pow one of her favorite comic books. I bought her
Ooh,
a
that's
number
good.
one. Um, there's this comic called Something is Killing the Children. It's like it's like a mix between Stranger
Yeah, we
Things
were
and
talking
Buffy the
about
Vampire
that.
Slayer. It's a great,
Hmm.
great comic. You should, if you are interested in that kind of stuff, you should definitely read it. It's a fantastic read.
Hmm.
Anyway, from what I heard, that they got picked up and optioned for Netflix to do a show.
Oh,
So once I found out that
wow.
information, I started on the hunt and I was like, I'm going to go get her a number one now while prices are affordable. Because if most of you
Right.
don't know this, when The Walking Dead hit its peak,
People were buying the
people were
comics, right?
priced out of the comics, like people, the number ones and stuff like that. It was funny because at the time I remember I was talking to a guy and he's like, oh yeah, I sold my Walking Dead like 1 through 5 and I bought a brand new MacBook.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the price is shot through the roof.
Wow. That makes sense
Oh
though,
yeah, it always happens, and it's
Yeah.
happening even
So,
more now with all the Marvel stuff that's going on. Spider-Man shot through the roof.
oh
Spider-Man
yeah.
400, which is an issue that has a very important moment in the movie that I won't spoil for you, but it's one
Right.
of the most pivotal points in Spider-Man history. Issue number
Mhm.
400 shot through the roof because
Oh
that's when it
wow.
happens in the comics, and I was like, but And then eventually it dies down and prices level out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
And then it'll be worth like so much like 50 years later. Like,
yeah, I'm glad you had a good holiday
um,
though. I had a great holiday.
I did. I
Oh,
need to tell you what I got Dustin though.
what'd you get, Dustin?
He had wanted a longboard for such a long time. So I got him a longboard. Gosh, what else did I get him? I got him an Apple Watch because
Ooh.
he's been talking about the Apple Watch for months, like just months. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get it for him. So I got him that, and I got him the longboard. And back to when we were talking about the keepsake Hallmark ornaments,
Yeah.
they have a Mickey Mouse one with him holding the Keyblade. So it's like a Kingdom Hearts.
Oh,
I know, and like you can only find it online because I think it came out in like 2020. I don't because so if back to like that Hallmark topic, certain ones stop because they only sell them for a year. That's
right.
why they're so highly collectible, most likely, because you're not going to get
They
it
change
again.
them
It's not
every
going to be
year.
yeah. So there was this Mickey Mouse one, and it's of him holding like his gold Keyblade because Dustin's a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. And our Christmas tree was Disney because we both love
Oh,
Disney. So it worked out perfectly. We have a couple like on there that aren't Disney, but and then Ty 4x4 on Twitch, who's like Dustin's best friend, one of Dustin's best friends. He got us like a Mickey and Minnie Christmas tree topper.
how cute.
Yeah, and it was so cute and so perfect for our tree, and like it was great.
Which
It was a
reminds
great
me, a certain
Christmas.
package for you guys showed up today, correct?
It did. We have Eric and Pau sent us a gift. It's like sitting in the living room. I haven't opened it because
Hide it from
your
Dustin.
gift stuff. Well, it's in a box, so
But
I'm
he's
like,
gonna be like, "What's this?"
oh yeah, he did. He's like, did you order something? I'm like, no. I'm like, it's from Eric and Pau. But Eric's gift, it got messed up because I'd ordered it like on December 14th. The person made it. She shipped it. I don't know what USPS was doing, but they had it at their facility for like 3 weeks. And like the shipping was just like still at facility, still facility. I'm like, is this thing gonna move? Like I ordered it
That's
like
where it got shipped to the facility. It's
and so I messaged the lady, and she was supposed to mail it to you. But for some reason, I guess she looked at my billing address and
oh,
not
and
the delivery address. So it ended up getting sent to my parents' house. And so I was just like, oh, so I have it. I looked at it. All is well, but I have to mail that now. So
so
I
we'll
just have to
probably
get to
have like
you.
an impromptu like gift opening like late
Oh,
January
yeah.
or like the first episode of
I
February.
know. It's like Merry Christmas. It's like March 2022. like,
I'm actually highly disappointed in you that I did not get the Mickey Keyblade like ornament because I feel like that would have been the perfect joke gag for you because those of you that don't
oh,
know, I
yeah.
can't stand that game.
He cannot. That's how I met Eric. He was streaming Kingdom Hearts. And that's where I met my husband because we were both watching him stream Kingdom Hearts.
So my rage and like disdain for this game just warmed the hearts of two individuals who I love dearly
Your
nowadays.
Christmas gift is actually a giant record of the Tarzan music from Kingdom Hearts
Oh,
1. And every song is just that one song played on loop. So
it's every
Merry
remix.
Christmas.
I hope there's a remix side too, where it's just remixes of the same loop. But yeah, awesome holiday. We're ready to start the new year. So before we kind of swing into the new year here, we want to kind of look back. Hannah and I want to both look back kind of on what is it, 2021. We want to look back on 2021. And to be fair, it felt just like 2020. But we want to look back on 2021 and we want to kind of like think about what we learned from 2021. And I kind of wondering because you were actually going through a hard time in late 2021. Like you were having a rough time.
Yeah, I got bad. I got like I had posted about well, it was my private Instagram, so it's not like it's
Yeah.
public, but I had gotten hit with some like bad depression late 2021. Like probably November it set in. It
Mm.
was rough. I don't even know exactly where it came from. What like I think I was just feeling so ridiculously overworked. And on top of that, Christmas time brings like
A stress level.
it's a stress level also too. There was this weird part of me that was like, hold on, like this isn't a Christmas that's like all the other Christmases, you know? And because I'm not at home with my family,
Yeah.
this is new, this is brand new, and I've never been a person that does change very well. Like I have a hard time transitioning to change. But when I look back on it, like I handled it fine, and all the things I was worried about with Christmas, it didn't happen. I was able to spend that time with my family. Like,
It's
you know,
it's
I'm very
interesting
doom
with
and
you.
gloom at times.
Well, it's interesting with you because, and this is not like in any way like a criticism of you or anything, but like
Hmm.
you go for extremes, and to extent there's people
Yeah.
in my life that do the same thing. Like it's an extreme. Like
Hmm.
this change leads to this ultimate extreme. Like, oh, now I'm married, I can't do this.
Hmm.
Like everything's completely different now. I'm married, and like you go through extremes where in reality you like set in and you realize, oh, it's not necessarily the case. Like,
Hmm.
but like
It's
Christmas does
yeah.
bring this level of stress. Because I'll be honest with you, I hate the holidays up until the holiday.
Really?
Oh yeah, because I'm
Oh.
going through all these stress levels of like trying to make everything happy.
Mm.
And this is one of the things because like Pal, God bless her, was putting up with me through this whole thing because I was like
Mhm.
miserable. Like on top of work and on top of all this stuff, like you're trying to make nice things happen for people like in their holidays. You want to do this for them and
Mhm.
that for them, and you want to make sure everyone is covered, and the people that
Mhm.
are you think about, and like you may not get to talk to them all year, but you want to make sure that they're remembered and appreciated, at the end of the
Mhm.
year. And like you go through a lot trying to make that happen. And it happens with me. Like I'm just like in Israel, like traffic is a nightmare during the holidays.
Oh yeah. It was a nightmare here. I'm sure in LA it was just like
Funny story. So I used to live in central LA, like
mhm.
15-minute walk from Dodger Stadium, like central LA, right? During Dodger season, people would park in my neighborhood so they didn't have to pay for the parking at Dodger Stadium. I moved because that was a nightmare during Dodger season. And then
Mhm.
on top of that, I lived around bars and stuff like that. And people would go early and drink. And I lived near a lake where people would hang out, a very popular, famous lake in LA that people
Mhm.
would go and hang out and drink and then go walk to the game. So it was coming a
Mhm.
nightmare. So I moved, and I moved to a neighborhood that wasn't near any of that stuff. But of course, me not thinking about it, I moved near a mall.
Oh no.
So like at Christmas time, the month of December, and it's to be fair, the first 2 weeks weren't too bad, but those second weeks leading up to Christmas, people were parking in
Mhm.
my neighborhood because they couldn't get parking at the mall. And I was like, I'm over this.
So you escaped one situation to then end up in like a different one.
But granted, that's only about a 2 week window.
That's true. See,
Someone
right now we're
mentioned
dealing with
and they're
um,
asking in the chat, was that the lake you were talking about that was ruined by the homeless population issue? Yes. Just lay that out. I
mm,
want because we're not really political on this particular podcast, so I'll just let that go. But
mm,
like, yes, that was part of the issue. But like, yeah,
mm,
at least I know now it's only about 2 weeks out of the year where I'm gonna have a problem.
right.
But I'm
See, for
fortunate
us,
enough,
we're dealing with the snowbirds right now.
oh, where no one wants to deal with the snow. And
Yeah, so a lot of the old retirees, like from a lot of Canadians. No offense to Canadians, you guys are great. I'm just saying, like you come and you mess up the traffic. So,
they come down there and like they skip their like the 70-year-olds skip their skis and snowboards, and then they come out and they like sunbathe in their bikinis.
oh yeah, and it's the traffic. The thing is, I'll admit, I'm that person. I don't have a lot of patience for people on the road. Like, listen,
I've
the
heard it.
speed limit is is a suggested limit,
I've heard it.
even though it's not. Um, but like if the speed limit's like 45, they're going like 45, and I'm like, 50, 50, 55. Like, or sometimes they go way below, but they're and also too with the season of COVID, like a lot of people, not just Canadians, not even just snowbirds, a lot of people are just flocking to
Because
Florida
it's open.
because it's open. Like, and again, we're not political on this podcast, but it's open, so a lot of people are just coming in, and the COVID rates are through the roof. They're just like all over the place.
Disneyland, you're not
So.
helping them. You're not helping them. But yeah, so
Yeah.
like yeah, I get it. It's like a rough like the holidays are rough, especially, and
Mhm.
to any of you that don't have like family that's as close as our families are, like we feel for you too, because it's a rough time for you also. But I just remember like listening, like you were getting hit hard, and
Mhm.
it's again, like I said, I think you're a person of extremes where it's like it's not just doom and gloom, it's doom. You're a doom person.
Oh yeah. I think I mentioned this in a podcast. My therapist has always said that I was the worst fortune teller in the entire world. He's like, "You would make a terrible career out of being a fortune teller," because it's like I'm like Chicken Little. I'm like, "The sky is falling. Oh my god." Like,
Yeah, the sky is
so,
falling, but like,
um, but something that I realized that with Christmas time is this was probably one of like the few and I've been doing Christmases like this for a little bit now. But for so long I was used to Christmas time being a period of rest because I was in college, you
ah,
get like that long period of winter break.
right.
Like I've been out of college for years now, but um a lot of the times like I've worked in like school systems in the past where I would get that time off, right? So this is one of the kind of not the first time, but probably the second or third time where I'm like working in an environment now where I don't get that time off. And so there was just like I just felt like a grind. It was just work grind all the time,
It's
and I
hard.
was tired. I had so many things I had to get done. Um, and I just remember that period of pure bliss, like after college when winter break comes, where you don't have to worry about anything and next semester doesn't start till like early January or mid January, and not a care in the world. You have a free schedule. You can go hang out with your friends and so like there was this morning part process where I was like, I miss that. I miss the simplicity of being young, and so now I hate that there's this realization that I'm not young. I'm young, but I'm not
It
young
the free
young,
spirit, like you're
The
past that free spirit young where it's like,
yeah,
and
and that's
that's hard.
hard,
No, that's
and
I
s
felt that one.
yeah,
I felt
and
that
so
one.
when we go in the podcast, I'm gonna elaborate on it a little bit
I
more
felt that.
because
I
it's
feel that when you talk about the free spirit young, I feel that
yeah,
one because
it's tough.
I'm that weird old guy that's in all ages clubs looking at bands just because I like the band's music and I heard it and I'm checking out a show and like everyone around me is a
Mm,
teenager or in their 20s. It's hard. It's hard.
mm.
And
It's hard when you have a youthful spirit, but your body and like what society deems appropriate for your age
yes.
is not lining up because I have never saw you as being close to 40
Thank
on
you.
like because you don't give me that impression,
Thank you.
So and
I'm
not that that's
just
old, that's not
I'm
even old, but
yeah, but I'm coming to that point now. Like I'm getting into that stage of life where it's like, okay, I went through all this awesome stuff, like, and I'm starting to reflect on it more because one of my biggest problems, like mentally, was like, and I talked to with my therapist about this a lot too. Was I'm at this point in my life, and I feel like I haven't done anything, or I feel like I didn't have any like real life experiences. And then
mhm,
she's like, "Well, think about all the stuff you did growing up." And like I can say is like I look at it as like I lived a lot of fun moments and memories and stuff like that. Like literally right
mhm,
here, this guy wrote a book that a whole TikTok community is just raving about right now, about an era that I got to live through and I got to see all this stuff happen firsthand and when it happened and
right,
hear it all for the first time. And I was like, okay, I understand. Like I did live through an awesome era,
mhm,
you know. I was like, I lived through an awesome era that you know, got hit by, big money. And now that era is
yeah,
going through a resurgence. But like I lived through it and I lived through a lot of
mhm,
stuff and I had a lot of fun experiences. I've been to so many like clubs and stuff that you read about in history books and American history and all that kind of stuff and like hippie movements, all stuff. I've been in a lot of these places
mhm,
and I've set foot in there and I met a lot of people along the way and I had a good time. I had a really, really good time. And I still have a good time. I still go and I still see it. It's not the
right,
same. I'm more off to the side now watching rather than being in the middle getting slammed around. But like,
right,
I had a good time. I had a good time and I
mhm,
met a lot of people and I still talk to this day to an extent. So like I met a lot of fun people and like, again, that's one of those things where it's like, yes, that youthful, like youth is probably gone, but you could still have it. Like you still have it in your heart a bit when you know,
no, I definitely agree. It's a weird middle place because you're watching a lot of your friends settle down or their children are like 10 years old already, you know what I mean? And they're married and then they have their families like and so it's like I'm not there, but I'm also not with like the young 20-year-olds,
right,
you know? That's how I feel. I'm like, okay, I can't necessarily relate to like the people in their 30s, like that older millennial
right.
generation, but I can't fully relate to like these very young people So where is my place in society? Like, I don't want children right now. I'm not ready to be a mom. At least I don't feel like it. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But I don't like. Can I necessarily like develop these close relationships with people that have their kids? You know, like they're different roads, like different paths that we're on.
Yeah.
So
And I think it's interesting is like when you talk, was like, what's my like place right now? Like, I don't necessarily want kids yet or any of that, but you're at this moment in your life now. It's like you're starting your family. You and your husband are your family, and
mhm.
go ahead and just write it out. I clicked the wrong button. There we go. We fixed that. I clicked the wrong
It's
button.
okay.
I looked at that. We're okay right now, at least on my end.
Okay.
Um, so it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you're starting your family. You and your husband are your family,
Mhm.
and you build your experiences together as a young husband and wife. That's what it is. And
Mhm.
then, the next step comes along. But I get it. It's hard. You're in that middle phase where it's like you don't necessarily relate to people in their 20s anymore. And you don't
Mhm.
necessarily relate to people my age or getting to my phase
Mhm.
of life. You're not quite there
Right.
yet. But
I feel like we're both in similar, very similar situations. Our lives look just a little different, but they're very similar. Like
I,
that
I
weird,
got news for
I don't
you.
know where I
My
place.
midlife is scheduled for 2024, 2025. That's about when my midlife crisis is going to occur and I'll really have an issue.
Mhm.
Don't worry. You'll see me on a motor. Like you'll see the Discord picture. Look at my new motorcycle, which is actually on my list of things to
Oh, I'm
buy.
sure.
I have some,
We've talked.
we're going to talk about this though when we get into these. Like I have some list of things that I want to do.
Uh,
But
shall we
it's,
get into this list?
well, I'm still kind of good. Well, let's go through
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
2021 a little bit. So, like,
Okay.
aside from, what you were experiencing, and what did you learn from 2021? Like, you had to have learned something.
I think there's a lot of maturity.
You did a
I
lot.
think I did a lot of growing. Um, I've said this a billion times in the podcast. I might have. I don't. I just it's my life's motto right now.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot that like emotions don't necessarily equal truth, which has been a hard pill to swallow at times
Hmm.
because I'm very emotional. I'm very moved by how things make me feel or how I feel about things, and I've had to like step back and realize like I have a brain.
Yeah.
Like I need to look at things with my brain and not always like with my heart sometimes. Like I can still have emotion, but I have to be honest about certain things. And like I've had to that's called into question. I've had to step away from like friendships that were like that I've people I've been friends with for years. Like we're talking about over 10 years because like while there was an emotional bond, like the logical truth of it was we weren't serving each other. Like
Hmm.
if you looked at it based on logic, like we were hurting each other. So there had to be like a cut, even though you don't want to do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I have to Oh, another thing too is I had to learn if someone was offending me, I had to realize like just because they offended me, like I gotta let it go, Like it
Right.
doesn't mean it's true about myself. If someone's coming after me or making me feel bad about myself, like I have to be grounded enough to realize like it's might not necessarily be something I'm doing. It could be a projection of how they're feeling or something they're going through, like so I had to work on not having an offendable heart. I had to work on like I don't wanna say being, like, tough, like, as if I've cut off all emotions, but I had to you have to have a grounding, You have to emotion and logic, they work hand to hand, like, they have to have a nice balance, and so I had to find that balance, which I'm still working on, but
Which I get when you say like people like like the offending, you're coming to this conclusion where I think a lot of people in just social media and content creation and stuff just have in
mm,
general where they just can't accept, like people have difficulty understanding that people are going to be critical of you no matter what you do. There's just
yeah.
some people that just aren't going to jive with you, and you just got to
Mhm.
like let it go. And there's situations that aren't going to jive with you, not just people
Right.
but situations that are not, they're just going to be like, well, this isn't working for me, and they're not going to be able to step away from it. There has to be some kind of counter, there has to be some kind of counter argument to it, which
Mm,
I don't think is necessary.
right.
Like, it's really, really bothering me. Like, and this will go into some of the stuff like I learned about myself in 2021, where it's like
Mm,
a lot of this stuff, it's like people are just so bothered by it that they have to open their mouths and counteract with it rather than just hit the block or hit the mute or whatever and,
mm.
put it in a box
Because,
and
I
shove it under
mean,
the bed.
we've talked about this, and this is going to be like a future episode where we kind of talk about how social media, the studies are very clear. Outrage is the driving force a lot of the times for something to go viral.
Uh-huh.
And when I heard that, I remember thinking, I don't want outrage to be the dictating emotion of my life.
Right.
Because it's like, I'm like, and so I had to step back and being like, if companies are knowingly knowing that outrage is the driving force to numbers and this and money, why would I want, like, if I died tomorrow, do I want to spend my whole life angry? Like, people aren't going to always agree with what I do. They're not going to agree with how I live my life. They're not going to agree with, masks, no mask, vaccinate,
Right.
you
And
know,
that's one of those things, like, we saw that a lot.
yeah, and I was in it. Like, there were and this is just like a side note, but I'd be like, I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to wear their mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to get vaccinated. Like, and then I had to realize I'm gonna go do my thing. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do what I need to do. I'm gonna take care of myself. I'm gonna take care of my family. Look, let's just not have
Yeah.
that conversation. It's up to you because
I don't
I,
have the time or energy for it anymore. Like that again,
I
it's this
know,
constant back and forth engagement. Now, granted, there are people that build their whole social media like presence around this type of stuff. They're content creators that specifically their whole sole
right?
purpose is to create, I want to say, constructive discussion, but it doesn't
Hmm.
always end up that
Right.
way.
There's right.
So like,
There,
but like I get that part of it. But yeah, like I don't have the time to like engage in this running of circles where it's
mhm.
like, and they'll be like, oh, well, you're just walking away from I'm like, dude, no, it's not that I'm walking away from it. It's like I'm choosing to discuss it, but you're not absorbing what I'm saying. You just keep going back to the
Mhm.
same loop, you
You know
know?
what was like one of those like moments in my life that kind of like really jolted me? It was somebody in my life I was really, really close to. And this was before COVID, right? This is before COVID. And I had said, like, oh, I'm going to go get my flu shot. People get flu shots all the time.
Yeah.
And, so this is I'm talking COVID was not even a mention in the world. And she said, why on earth would you get the flu shot? And I remember thinking
Well, the
I had
flu.
like this step back moment and I was like, well, I don't want the flu. And it became this like, well, I've never had the flu shot and I've never gotten the flu and blah, blah, blah.
Good
And
for
I
you,
remember
lady.
thinking, I was like, congrats. Like,
Yeah.
and I remember thinking there's this part of me that wanted to like argue with it and be like, well, and I
Right.
realized this isn't a more morality pissing contest. I'm like, if she chooses not to get it, okay, fine. And I just
Right.
had to walk away from the conversation. Do I still love this person? Yeah. I do. Like, do I think they're crazy that they're coming after me for getting my flu shot? Maybe a little bit, but nothing like look, you know what I mean? It's I just had to like let it slide. I'm like, I love you. You're gonna think I'm crazy for getting it, and that's okay
Yeah.
because people are gonna think you're crazy. That's the thing. No matter what you do. And that's so hard for me for someone that's codependent, that's literally trying to get this approval and like wants validation. I had to realize if I keep living like this, I am going to burn myself out and I'm gonna crash. So, I'm just,
Do you think that's kind of like what led up to the stuff you're experiencing later in the year? Did it all kind of
maybe?
just crush in? So I have another question for you.
Yes.
And I'll say it's a personal question and you don't have, you can choose how deep you want to delve into it. But when you say along the lines of like you're trying to become a more logical, you're trying to go the route of more logical response and logical
Mhm.
thinking, etc., to the
Mhm.
stuff that you're experiencing. How does your religion play into that thing? Because a lot of you as a
Mhm.
person is a lot of your stuff is based on faith. Like you have a lot of faith,
Right.
which all the respect to you. Like it's important to
Mhm.
have faith in how things are going to work out. But like how
So
does
this
that
is
play when you try to come into this logical, because this is the thing, the core of this podcast, almost in the core of these discussions, like we've just talked about, is like I'm the logical thinker. You're
Hmm.
the more emotional, like driven, and faith and belief structured
Hmm.
individual. So like how, because I feel like you were going through a bit of a thing with your qualms about religion in itself, like, and your faith and your religion and stuff like that.
I mean, this is a topic that like it's so deep and layered, and I don't know if I could fully go into it with the podcast, but there was never a question of my faith that for any
Right.
means. But I guess the best way I can describe this is the Lord did not give me a brain for me to not use it.
Okay.
And so, and this is something that my dad and I have talked about all the time, because you've even said my father is incredibly logical,
Yeah.
but he is a man of great faith.
Yeah.
And so I see it like this, like the Lord didn't give me a brain for me to be like, I'm not going to put my seatbelt on, or the Lord gave me, or I trust the Lord so much that I'm not going to look both ways when I cross the street.
Right.
Right. So how I see it is my faith, like God gave me a brain. He wants me to use it.
Right.
I'm not trying to be reckless. He also gave me a heart. It's almost like if you use too much of your heart and emotion in something, it's going to come back and hurt you. If you use so much of your brain and your logic in one thing, you lose empathy sometimes. So there has to be like this um middle ground, this like dance between both the heart and the
Mm-hmm.
mind for like that balance, right? And that's how I feel with my faith. I feel like my faith has always taught me that. I think going deeper into my faith has just further affirmed that for me, that like your heart is going to make you do things that aren't going to be good for you, but your brain is also going to make you do things where you lack your empathy. Like there has to be this nice
It's
balance. So,
interesting because you're touching on exactly what I was kind of like going for. Because
mhm.
I think you are, in the past like couple years, you're becoming this person where it's like you're a person. I almost think like you were a person that was more like logical and not. Let me figure out how to word this.
If you word it wrong, don't worry. Like
I
you can
think
say how you
you were more of a risk taker. I think there was some logic behind like your thinking, but I think you were more
Mhm.
of a risk taker. And in terms of faith, you were like, I'm just going to go for it and I'm going to see what happens. Then you got more, religion became more ingrained in your life and you actually became more cautious about the decisions and stuff and things you make.
I think it's hard to say. I mean, I would say my whole life I wasn't much of a risk taker.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that my issues right now that I have, it's a tug of war between issues of the heart and issues of the mind.
Because I remember, I
So,
remember 2019 Hannah. I remember TwitchCon 2019 Hannah specifically, where you were like, I'm gonna go do this, and then Hannah partied, and then she was like, that was a bad idea. But like you were like, I'm gonna do it. Like you took a leap of faith. Like you were just like, I'm gonna do
mhm,
it. I'm gonna live some life experience. I'm gonna enjoy
right.
it. Like mid 2020, 2021, Hannah wouldn't have done that. You know?
And I think it goes back to that balance. I think
Yeah.
I've lived a life where I've tried to force more logic. I've lived a life where I have put matters of the heart more important. Like I've made that like the head,
Yeah.
and I've been burned by both. I've been burned by both sides, and so it's not that and I said that in that post. It's like there's never been anything that I've done where I feel like God hasn't helped me. There's never been anything that I haven't done that God
Yeah.
hasn't been with me. Um, but there are definitely pains in my life that I could have avoided if I would have used my head a little bit more,
Right.
or I would have used my heart a little bit more. So, and I think just with growing up, I mean, you're gonna make mistakes in your 20s, right? You're
Yeah.
early 20s.
That's
That's
part of it.
like
Like
right.
I always
And
felt
I'm
like this is gonna be a hot take, but I always felt like those people that like had everything like laid out in their 20s, like the school, the career, everything. Yes, they're very, very successful now and they're on the right track to
Mhm.
life, but their youth sounded so boring. Like, if,
And it was funny how I used to fight with that all the time. I'm like, I'm 24 and I'm not married. And I'm thinking about it like I was a baby.
yeah,
Like I had no reason to be married at 24. Not
yeah,
that you can't be married at 24, but
right,
like 24-year-old Hannah was just like, mm-mm.
yeah. Yeah,
So
3 years ago, Hannah was wild. It was fun watching like Hannah just be like,
the
"Yeah."
thing is, I don't even think I was that wild. Like I was very
You were jumping. You were taking some leaps of faith. Like you were jumping. You're like, I'm gonna get some life experience. And I think part of that too
yeah.
is like when we talked about your upbringing, you had a little bit of deprivation in your upbringing. Like you didn't,
Hmm.
and you were getting it. Like it's okay.
Right.
You were getting it. It's okay. Like
Hmm.
it's made you this well-rounded, like intelligent,
Hmm.
centered person now that's like slowly coming at peace with herself. But like,
Right. It's a journey. It's a
yeah,
journey. That's all it is. And so, but I in so many ways I emulate. Like I want to be more like my father
hmm
because you've met him, and he's
he
like
has
that
that
beacon of
perfect
like,
balance of like life
mm,
experience, and he has his faith,
yeah,
and he has this level of intelligence. He's the perfect
hmm,
balance of like human being that I like to engage with.
yeah,
He has a little bit
and
of
so,
everything sprinkled into this nice, awesome,
hmm,
cake.
yeah, and you think about it, he didn't travel the world till he was in his 30s.
Right.
So I have to remind myself, like, okay, I didn't do everything in my 20s. That's okay. Um, but I look at the kind of man that he is and I keep thinking like that's how I want to be. Like my faith is first, but like I've been able to like navigate life and live life and but there's logic that plays. I'm not trying to be reckless or dumb. Like I gotta,
Right.
and
Well, you have
there
a
were
family to
days
think
like,
about now.
yeah, well, what's interesting is like anytime my father and I have butt heads, it's because his logic and my emotion. And
hmm
now that I'm older and I'm a little wiser, I'm not fully wise, like, no one's ever gonna be 100% wise, but I'm a little bit wiser. I can look at him and say, "I appreciate that balance of logic and heart
Yeah.
and faith, and it works." And, like, people tell me all the time, like, "Your dad's, like, the coolest person ever, like, he's so sweet, he's so nice, but he's smart," and I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? I wanna be like that,"
Yeah. Who
you
to
know?
like? Yeah.
So
He's a very admirable man. So who wouldn't want to be an
yeah,
admirable man, or woman?
right,
Like who wouldn't want to be that? So
right.
it's
So, I mean,
you're getting there. I'm like
what about you though? Like I talked about something I learned. I want to talk about something you learned.
so I just I mentioned it a little bit
Yeah.
earlier. Like I'm going through this. Like I'm starting to feel like in 2021, I'm going through the kind of like this phase of letting go.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm starting to let go of things that I know didn't work for me. And it's kind of like, okay, I need to think about what I need to start doing next. So
Mhm.
like, we talk about it a lot. Like I always talk about is like, going to all the shows when I was a kid and growing up through all this stuff. And like, me and my girlfriend went to one. She had the time, like she had an awesome time, and stuff like that. But like, I look around like people, it's like, okay, these like a lot of these kids are young, like this new generation's coming in and they're experiencing all
Yeah.
this stuff that I did. And I'm like, okay, like, and granted, I'm never going to let that go. But it's one of those
Mhm.
phases of life where it's like, okay, I need to take all this stuff that I grew up loving and appreciating and everything, and I need to roll it into a more mature me. Like I'm getting into
Mhm.
that age now where it's like almost like I need to kind of reach this role of like, it's a weird to say it, but like an educator in some way, shape, or form. Like I need to take all
Mhm.
my experiences and become the wise old guy, you know,
Or the big brother.
or the big brother, right? Like,
Like,
granted, I'm not
yeah.
old. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not old, but I'm getting in terms of youthful spirit. I'm starting
Mhm.
to get into that transitionary phase where it's midlife. I'm starting to come to midlife,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, okay, I need to start thinking about these things, and like, I need to take all that stuff I've experienced and I've learned and everything, and kind of roll it into a more mature me, which is kind of the concept of these podcasts and these discussions, where
Mhm.
it's like we take the stuff we learn. We're nearly the same age, you and I, but we're in two different phases of life. And it's
Mhm.
like, okay, now we take the stuff and we, learn. And then like also this whole generational gap of like, okay, there's a bunch of young people that want to do the stuff I already did. What can I explain to them and help them learn, and they can take and run with it? So I'll give you a perfect example of this. We actually had this discussion when we were doing the meeting. So I was in a shoe store the other day looking at shoes, and I
Mhm.
had the purple Twitch hoodie from St. Jude, which honestly I don't like wearing anymore much anymore,
Mhm.
because when people ask me about it, it's almost always associated with the money factor of it. Like, do you make money doing it? How good, like, are you successful? Blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, it's a tiresome conversation that just doesn't jive with me anymore. I'm kind of over the conversation of it. And it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, but this kid was really nice. He was really, really nice. And he was excited to hear about it. Not just the money aspect of it, but just the idea of, okay, he wants to learn stuff about it, right? So he's like, I'm thinking of getting started. What do I do? I said, and one of the things I wanted to make, important was like, I was honest with myself. And I was like, I used to stream, but I don't really do it much anymore. Like that was like, I don't really do this anymore. And when I say much anymore, I do it I'm talking the sense of like traditional, like, several nights a week for several hours playing video games. Like I don't do that on Twitch much anymore. So, but I explained to him and I was honest with myself and I just wanted to be honest with him. And cause he asked me, he's like, well, what happened? I said, it wasn't working for me anymore. I reached this phase of my life where I realized, okay, I'm working full time, 40 hours a week, sometimes 50. And I have a girlfriend in a relationship, plus I have my family, plus I have the little time I have to myself to do what I want to do for myself to just keep myself mentally sane. And I explained, it was like, it was just too hard. It was too hard to keep up and maintain and try to gain that growth that I was striving for. And it was almost like this little bit of solitude as I'm explaining, because it's a comfort level where I was like, okay, I know it didn't work and it's not for me really anymore. In that sense, doing it that way is not for me anymore. And I was comfortable with this. So I was explaining the thing and I told him, I said, if you want my honest opinion, I said, if you're young and your obligations are minimal, I say go for it. And try to make it happen, get that grind on and try to make it happen. And if it works, awesome. You keep rolling. If it doesn't work, be honest with yourself and realize, okay, the only person's expectations you have to meet are your own. If it's not really working for you anymore, then that's okay. And that's one of the things I think that's a hard time. And I don't want to call out name and I refuse to call out any kind of name, but I can tell there's several people like on this platform across the whole spectrum of Twitch and et cetera, that are still doing it, trying to make it happen. When I think kind of like deep down, they know they don't want to necessarily be doing it anymore. But there's
like that question, like how much longer can I keep doing this?
Yeah. Where it's like that, there's that balance. Like, I know I don't really want to do this much anymore, or they want to do something different. They just want to do something different. And it's like, okay,
I think it's that hard emotional place where you're like, if I give this up, something that I've grinded at for
5 years. Some of them are up to almost 10.
Years. Yeah. I mean, you think about it, you and I met 2017.
17.
I think.
It's 5 years.
Right. And so that went by fast.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest. I feel like I just saw you at TwitchCon 2018.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, there's a lot of years that have gone by. But it's hard. Like, I've even struggled at it where I've looked at my Twitch page and I'm like, you know what, maybe I should just start over. Like, literally delete this, start like a new one that's more casual.
Yeah.
Kind of get away from everything and everyone that was from my former life and start brand new. But then there's like, what if, right? And I'm like, if I'm already agreeing to the fact that I'm not looking for growth on this, I'm not looking for,
right.
Why do I hold on? And it's probably it's an emotional tie.
It's right? And I think it's one of those things. And like, there's all these like memories that people have, and rightfully so. There's all these memories you had, and all the things like all the fun, fundraisers, and all those stupid beans we sucked down to make money for St. Jude, and all this kind of stuff, and the gross faces we all made. Like, it's fun moments that we may not get back. Like, it's a moment in time that. And this is another fun example of this. And I think about this moment in time thing. So like, I think one of my most favorite times in my life is when I lived in Orange County, California. And I lived down the street from one of the main strips by the college. where all the bars and everything were. I had affordable rent and I was walking
Mm,
distance to all those bars. I was mid-20s. All my friends worked in the bars at that time every Friday and Saturday night. So like I always had
mm,
people to talk to and free drinks and all that kind of stuff. And I thought,
mm,
I was like, you know what? I really missed that time. Maybe I should move back there. And I think about it, but I realized like it was a moment in time that I'm not going to get back. Most of those
mm,
friends have moved on to different places. They have families, they have kids. You know, they're different. They're in a whole different phase of their lives now. And like, I would be joking myself if I went back there and expected the same experience. Like it's a moment in time that I will not get back.
mm. I think about this all the time. You know how like we're seeing like that upward trend of like Disney movies being remade or
Hmm.
old series having like, an extension, like, like Full House, for example. They had like the new series on
Rest in
Netflix and
peace, Bob Saget.
Bob Saget.
Rest in peace, sir. You were
But
like that
he
second
was,
father of my childhood, and you know,
I mean, like, but you think about that, right? Like how when they announced like, the Full House like new series
right.
with like I think we all crave nostalgia.
Hmm.
We all crave like what Bob Saget did in those TV shows, right? And then did they have him on the
He
new
was
one?
on
I
the
didn't
new one. The
never.
one that hit me,
Mhm.
is when they did the Boy Meets World like sequel thing where he had a daughter and all that kind of stuff,
Oh
and his best
yeah.
friend showed up in one of the episodes. Like that's the one
Uh
that hit me because that's like that's like again that's that moment in time
right.
when all your friends were there and you were having the best time and
Mhm.
all the conversations. You were drunk somewhere and you were having a good time. You know, like
Right.
and like
But
yeah,
do you think about how what's interesting is a lot of the times they don't do well, like
hmm
these new shows.
they don't.
And I think the reality of it is because companies can't replicate nostalgia.
Right.
They can't replicate what we felt when you were watching Boy Meets World
Right.
at a young age. They can't replicate like what I was watching, like those moments in time.
Well, lightning in a bottle. It's the
Anyway,
lightning in the bottle
right.
thing. Right place, right time.
Like
You
you
caught
can't
it.
get it again.
Yeah,
Right.
but like it's one of those things. Yeah, like I'm learning to like let go. And I told him I was
Mm-hmm.
like, if you're young and you have minimal obligations in life, like go ahead, give it a shot. I hope it works out for you, dude. Have a blast doing it, and just treat it as something you want to do for fun. And then if everything else falls into place,
Mm-hmm.
falls into place. Because again, the facts show it's like less than 0.1% or something like that of all the Twitch streamers hit that financial security block
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or that financial security group, like fiscally secure. Like it's very, very minimal. Your odds are slim. You've got better chances of winning the lottery, and
Oh yeah.
and it's wild, but like, which is funny too, because we talk about because like almost talking about it with this guy, almost in my head again, made me want to give it another shot. Like,
Yeah. Just whenever we get on this, I'm like, well, maybe I could do this again,
yeah,
or maybe I could have fun with it. And I just, it's so, it's bittersweet. That's all it
yeah,
is. It's just a bittersweet thing.
it's a
But
bittersweet, and that's like life. Life is literally full of bittersweet moments that
hmm
are, you know, that come and they go.
hmm
And that's just one of those things. Like all these like concerts I've been to over, I lost count at 200. My mom asked, she's like, "How many you been to?" And I was like, "I lost count at 200."
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's a lot of money too. Like,
yeah, I lost count at 200, and that was about 27, 25 to
oh wow.
27 in there. That was about 200, and I lost count. I stopped counting.
hmm
I know it's around that number because back in the day, before smartphones and stuff like that, Ticketmaster, when you buy a ticket, you'd get the stub for the concert. And I
hmm
kept a good chunk of them, and I have about 90 of those.
Oh wow.
So like it's about that, we're about that
Yeah.
200 book because there's a lot of them I don't have things for, you
hmm
know. But like they're just bitter moments in time, and I can't go back and see that band again and get that sweet same bitter moment of time. You know how they always say where it's like I wish I, like in our realm of things, like, oh man, I wish I could play through that game again for the first time and
Yeah.
go through it again the first time. Like
hmm But
you
that was
won't.
the lightning in the
That
bottle
was the lightning in the
time.
bottle. You won't get it back, and it's okay. But the whole point of,
hmm
I guess, what I'm trying to get at is like, okay, it's time for me to go find new lightnings in a bottle.
hmm
Like, I need to go build new experiences and new things and all that kind of stuff, you know.
hmm
And like, what was fun is I got this a lot too when I went to Florida to go see you guys, where I
Yay.
was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, I'm here with like my friends that really survived the rubble, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like out of the whole, when everything collapsed, like these are the friends that still stand, you
Mm.
know? And
It's it is bittersweet, but it's beautiful too.
it's interesting too. And I'll
Because
say this, like, this is in no way meant to be like a questionable statement or anything, but it's like, it's interesting to see the ones that do keep standing. Like, it's interesting the ones that you don't know or you don't think happen, but they happen and they stay and they stick. And those like are your friends
yeah.
in the end when the rubble collapses.
Right.
It's really,
I
really
don't think
interesting.
we ever thought that we would be like long-term friends
I
after
never
Twitch.
thought me and you would be
Yeah.
across the same, spectrum weekly doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like literally just like we message each other all the time.
Yeah.
Like we're very involved in each other's lives.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say you were probably the last person I ever thought
Yeah.
of, but you weren't somebody that was like I thought of like,
Was I
that
in the
would just
MySpace top 8?
in the beginning you probably weren't.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's okay. I probably wasn't on yours. Like
Yeah.
that's fine.
But it's
Like
funny, right? How just
yeah, but
things like,
now like we're on the MySpace top 8 for both for
yeah, but
each
no,
of us.
it's interesting
Yeah.
how like the stuff that
Mhm.
once the rubble settles and things kind of like rise up and you find out the ones that are still standing. But yeah, like I'm learning now, okay, 2021, I need to go learn how to do new life experiences and really kind of stuff, which we'll talk about when we go into like 2022,
Mhm.
because there's a whole slew of things in the back of my mind where it's like, I need to start doing this, I
Mhm.
need to start doing that. But um yeah, a letting go. Like letting go. 2020 was like the letting go thing. And it's like when I talked to Pal about it, Pal was like kind of sad about it. She's like, I was just getting into that whole world too, because I took her to TwitchCon, the last one we had when it was a thing. And she's like,
Which one was that? Was that
2019, I think it
2019?
was. Oh no, then you were 2017. 2017
I
TwitchCon.
was 2018. I went to
2018. Okay. 2018 Hannah was a fun Hannah. I'm gonna go do this.
I'm even
I'm gonna go do
Although
this.
I barely talked to you at TwitchCon, remember? I was just an anxious bean the whole time. I was
Cold
like, oh my God.
shouldered me, guys.
I did not cold shoulder you. It was called anxiety.
She's
Okay.
like, hi,
And
Eric. And
so-
then, and then she went and tried to go swoon Dustin. That's how our first interaction happened. She had Dustin on her mind the whole time.
I did. Okay. I was distracted and now I'm married to him. So like
It's okay
fine.
now. Now I can give Eric the attention that I should have given him 4 years ago, 3 years ago. But no, it's fun. But like, yeah, like I took her to 2019 when the last one we had, and she was like, yeah, she had a good time. She was like, she had fun meeting everybody, and she's like, she was kind of getting immersed in the world a little bit and how everyone was having a good time. And then she was like, man, I feel bad. Like I was just getting into that whole thing. And like, now you're kind of like on your way out of it. I'm like, if you knew half the stuff that went down that I know, like you wouldn't be about it anymore.
Yeah.
Because there's a
I
lot of
always-
stuff that happened behind it, and the dreaded 2020. There's a lot of stuff that happened where it's just not the same anymore.
2020 was just like a rough year for
Everybody.
not just the world, but like the Twitch sphere of
World, yeah.
everything. Like I remember sitting like with Dustin one day, and I remember just like crying. I think it was like that mid 2020. I was just like sobbing because I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like I feel so much anxiety. I feel so much hurt. I feel confused. And then sorry if you hear a car horn in the background. But I heard that, or I went through that, and I think that was like that point where I was like, that was when the throwing away, like the towel, just throwing it away,
Yeah.
was really just very prevalent, like mid 2020.
Was like, I can't do this anymore. Like
yeah.
it's not right.
Yeah. And I was, I've been talking to a lot of our old friends. The same statement comes up every single time. I wish Twitch was what it used to be.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is it'll never be what it was. That is a long, like, and I'm not trying to sound negative, but here's like the logic side coming in me now.
Yeah.
We're never going to get that again.
That
It's
moment
not
in
coming
time is
back. Yeah.
That moment in time is like past, and it's going to be hard to hear, and it's hard to say because, and I almost sound hypocritical to a sense because we're literally on Twitch right now,
Yeah.
streaming this whole thing, but the people that made it special, not just in the people that created content, but the people behind the scenes that helped make Twitch what it was and all that kind of stuff, they're not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole new slew of captains running the ship, and like those special people and the special stuff that like the special content and everything that made it special, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And this happens anytime like big money gets involved with any business. Because if you're paying attention, the mainstream is starting to catch on now.
Mm-hmm.
Like video games, our video games are big money now, and like streaming's big money, and YouTube and stuff are big money. Like
Mm-hmm.
the big money's catching on now, and when the big money catches on to anything, that special thing about it goes away because now it's all about a financial maintenance.
Yep. That's what it is. But like we're learning, like we're starting to understand that. Like both of us. I
Yeah,
feel like that was something I also learned too. I
yeah,
may have not put it down as like my main thing. But you know what's interesting is like I was looking at our second things, like the second thing we listed under the things that we learned, and I
uh-huh.
feel like they're very similar. I don't know if you see it on
Let me go
your thing.
back to my browser over here.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's weird. Like it's a weird time right now.
It is. It is.
It's a weird.
But again, we're gonna make new lightning in the bottle moment.
Yeah, new
Like
lightning in the bottle moments. So, before we roll into the break, do you have any hard hitting questions for me while I'm emotionally open? While my wound is emotionally open, do you have any hard hitting questions?
hard hitting questions. Oh my
Or do you
gosh.
have anything that you want to ask me?
Um
We haven't talked in a minute. We were on vacation, so
I can't think of any.
you can't think of anything?
I'm the person that like when you put me on the spot like that, my brain's just like
Zerp
beep, like
fizzles.
like. So maybe the break I'll come up with something, but um, I don't know. We get into these things like even like in our meetings, like we just start talking like, and it just rolls. But now that you've asked me if I have any questions, I suddenly don't have any questions for you. But
Brain.
I know that I do. They're in my noggin somewhere. I
You'll
just gotta
you'll
pull them
find
out.
them.
Yeah,
Oh, we're
something
gonna
will like help me remember.
well, you'll find them. All right, we're gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
we're gonna take our quick break here.
You do.
You listen to Good People with Eric and Hannah. I'm Eric,
I'm Hannah.
and then we will be right back shortly. Hey everyone, we're back. It's the Good People with Eric and Hannah, and we are talking about our 2020 and our 2021.
2021. Let's not talk about our 2020.
Talking
Okay,
about
like
20.
let's.
We talked about 2020 a little bit. No, we're talking about 2021 and how we're going to roll into 2022, and
Mhm,
we're going to see where we're going to get. So to kind of roll out 2021,
mhm.
um, what's the last final assessment of your 2021 before we say goodbye to it?
Okay, so I noticed this. So Eric and I had something that was very similar on our list. Yours was adapting to normalcy,
Uh huh.
which I'll have, you'll go into that. And then mine was simplicity and slowing down.
They are very very similar things.
Very similar. And I'll tell you like where I got this thought. This was right right after Christmas. I went to go get my booster, my COVID booster. I went to Target. And I was you know how they have you sit for a little bit to
Mm-hmm.
like make sure you don't like react to
Faint
anything.
and pass out. And
Yeah. Yeah. So they told me they're like, if you've already had like your 2 shots, you don't necessarily have to stay. We recommend that you do just in case. But like if you had no issues, like you're
right.
welcome to just leave. So I was like, well, let me just sit because like I just wanted to get a feel for it. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching people shop. And there was this, I was people watching. And there was this like fast pacedness of like everyone in the store. Like I gotta get things done. I gotta shop. I gotta, like one woman's dragging her kid, the other guy's like just going through the aisles with his cart. Like people weren't slowing down, right?
Yeah.
And it brought this idea in my head where it's like, how often have I lived my life in this go, 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 rush, 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 gotta get it done mentality? And like I sat here and I was like, and I thought of all the times that I've gone out to do things, and the big thought in my head has been like, well, this sucks because like I don't have a lot of time to enjoy this. What like let's say if I went to Disney or something, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna end soon, and like I'm gonna go back to my daily grind, and so I need to rush and get things done so that I have time to enjoy like the simplicity of life, like the small things, right? And I just was looking around thinking, like, how many of us are actually living like that? Like, and I thought about this too. Do you know, like, a lot of TikTokers, they take videos of them shopping, right?
Yeah.
That's, like, been the things, like, just, like, them shopping and,
Right.
like, it almost seems very intentional, very, like, low pace, like, they're just doing their shopping, or people going to the farmer's market, which has become something I suddenly wanna do. And I'm like, how nice is that they can just go to the farmer's market or go to a store, and granted if it's fake or not, like, the content makes it appear as if they are just living their life simply, like, just, "I'm at the
It's
store, I'm buying
so
these
funny that you
things."
bring this up
Really? I'm glad I brought it up
because
then.
I am one of the ones where if it's a remedial task that I have to do every week,
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
one of those ones that will get up. I try to get up early and do them.
Mhm.
I get up, I go and I knock it out so I can go back home and write it off the list. And then I can go and do the slowdown time where I read or play games or watch TV or whatever. So I'm one of those ones you'll see like in a Walmart or a grocery store or whatever. And I'm just
Mm.
like, boom, boom. Like I have a path and I have a route. I know what I need to grab. I know what I need to do.
Mhm.
And I have a path and a route and I just grab it and I don't
Mhm.
do much perusing. Like I know what I buy, like just because of my diet and the way I eat and all that. Because like
Mhm.
I know everything I need. Like I need egg whites, I need chicken, I need
Mhm.
beef, I need this, that, this rice. You know, the core things I need. I grab them and I go home, right?
Yeah.
And like I go and I on about my day because then I feel like I can go do other things.
The stuff that you want to do.
Right,
Like, it's like you're fighting for your little pockets of joy.
right.
Like those little moments that like bring you happiness. You're fighting with like life,
Uh huh.
trying and you're almost like, cuz I shop like you. I don't shop like Dustin shops very opposite of me. Like I have an idea.
We
I know
had
where I'm
this
going. I'm
talk.
getting it. Yeah. Dustin's more of the like, like I'll be like 4 aisles away and I'm like, "All right, I'm done. Like, when we going?" And he'll just peruse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Time is money, friend. Like, let's get going."
Right.
And it almost bothers me that I'm like that. Like,
Interesting.
it's it's like if I'm living this fast pace, like, okay, gotta get it done, gotta do this, da, 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 so I have the time. I have to go back and I start to think like, why am I living like this? And is it worth it? You know what I mean? Like, and I realize it come for me. It comes from a state of like anxiety.
I
That's how
do
it
this.
is for
I'll
me.
give you this. So like, as funny as it sounds, like I'm the same way with the gym too.
Mm,
Like Pow is very different like for the gym. Like she likes to like take like she I don't want to say take her time and be lax about it, but she likes to,
mm,
take her rest. She likes to joke around about things and stuff while we're doing it. Where I'm one of those ones where I'm like, I don't want to be here forever because contrary to popular
yeah,
belief, I don't like being in a gym, you know,
yeah.
5 hours, 6 hours of my life a week. I don't
Mm,
like being there, but it's so ingrained in my routine that I do
mm-hmm,
it. But like, and obviously I like the effects and the results of it, but I don't like being there. Like,
yeah.
there's so many other things I would like to be doing than, throwing weight
Mm-hmm,
around. But like she's very like lax about it. Like she very determined. Like she does the workout and all that stuff. But she likes to like take her time with it and she likes to joke and she likes to laugh about things. And where me, I'm just like, look, I just want to get this done so I can go.
so I can get out of here and do the stuff that I really want to
Well,
do.
yeah, like, and like I don't want to say we butt heads about it, but you could tell there's a clashing of it.
Yeah.
But like I'm the same way, and like I'm one of those ones though, like I'm one of those ones, and I'm like you in a sense where it's like, okay, this is my day, this is the stuff I need to get done. My day's not over
Mm,
until these things are done,
mm,
and my relaxation time doesn't begin until these things are done,
yeah.
which is how like I am, and I guess to an extent, yeah. So you're talking, you want to actually like, you want to be that one that cruises through the grocery store, and
I want to be more intentional and like I want to just be more present in my life because I'm coasting on anxiety, you know? Like it's almost like this like if I don't get this done and I don't take care of the things that I need
right,
to and if I don't rush, then I'm not going to have the time that I want, right? And what I'm noticing is when I have that time, a lot of the times it is mindless scrolling on TikTok. That's like the whole messed up part about it is like, yes, I have this a lot of time where I want to game, I want to read, I want to this, but it's almost like my brain is wired for busy, 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 busy. Da, 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 da. I'm just sitting on the couch and I'm like worn out already. And I'm like, it's like this state of anxiety of trying to get things done and being in a rush and to have the time that I
Do
want.
you
I'm now like burnt
do you
out.
feel like your job comes into that? Like, does your
Oh,
job
yeah.
create that environment? Are you one of those ones that has a hard time leaving your job at the door? Like when you clock out, like you're done? Do you have a hard time doing that?
So I have a job that when I clock out, I'm done. But
Technically,
I
technically,
technically, I'm not somebody that works like I work like an hourly job. I would say the physical effects of this job are so demanding
uh-huh,
that by the time I get home, like there have been days like Dustin and I, we both cook. So this is a thing where it's like I'm the
uh-huh,
cooker, like we both take turns. But there like are so many days I'm coming home like I am so physically, and because my job is physically, mentally, and very emotionally draining,
mm-hmm.
depending on the day. I have nothing, like absolutely nothing to give. Like I sometimes can't cook dinner. And then like I try to make time to game like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
see
so
you on that
tired that
Discord.
yeah, Discord, I'm on Destiny. And sometimes I'll do it for an hour and then I'm like done. And then like yesterday I went to lie down a little early. I was like, well, I'll just spend the next couple hours reading. Didn't even have like a lot of that. I think I read like 10 pages and then I was like out. Um so I think it's work personally.
That's having
So
this but that's you
yeah.
miss kind of like what I'm getting at.
What do you mean?
So
Like
I get the physical aspects of it, yes,
right.
and mentally draining, but it sounds like when I mean like when you clock out and you're done,
Hmm.
it sounds like you bring some of it home. Like you
It
bring,
depends on the day, yeah.
yeah. Whereas one of those things, like I'm trying to learn how to,
Hmm.
like, it's 5 o'clock, I'm done. Everything
Hmm.
that's associated with that job career, special project permitting, for some strange odd reason, I'm on something
Yeah.
special for work. But on your standard Monday through Friday workday, 5 o'clock comes around, I'm done. I'm logged out. I don't
Hmm.
associate with the work anymore unless I absolutely have to. I'm done. And then
Hmm.
that goes for mental, where it's like, okay, I don't do anything involving work anymore. Like, I'm done.
Hmm.
This is now my, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. is my time,
Hmm.
which I think it sounds like you're having a hard time doing that.
I think I am because while my schedule pretty much changes the same, the dynamic of the area that I work in can change around me.
Yeah.
And so, like, a lot of the times I'm getting that schedule of knowing what's going to happen the next day at like 8 o'clock,
Right.
8:30. And so I have to look. I have to see, all right, what
Okay.
what do I need to prepare for tomorrow?
Right.
Because like my job is one of those jobs that are very much affected by COVID
Oh, for
on a
sure.
staffing level and just like the job itself. So when you're dealing with a staffing issue with COVID, you know that you got to prepare yourself. You
Right.
know, you're going to be working harder than you might usually be working. And those days have been becoming more of a thing, you know.
So
So
the
I'll spend nights
idea,
anxious looking
so
and
you just answered my question right there.
yeah.
So like you
Yeah.
see it and you're like, okay, I gotta go. You get the email at 7:30 or whatever. You look at it and
Mhm.
then you're like, hey, you got to be in at 8 in the morning. Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like you dwell on the fact that you have to be in at 8 in the morning rather than just being like, okay, I'm in at 8 tomorrow. Click, put the phone back
Right.
down.
So I work like the same hours. So like I always go to work at like 9.
Yeah.
But I'll look at the schedule and I'll be like, why are we doing it? Like sort of like, oh my gosh, like we shouldn't even be open right now. Like and Dustin will have to tell me, he's like, you need to put it away and stop looking at the schedule. He's like, you need to put it down.
You know where you
And
have
I'm
to be
like,
tomorrow or you know what you have to do tomorrow. Like,
yeah,
put it down.
yeah,
He's right.
yeah.
Like I'm being full disclosure, like he's
Hmm.
right. Like, and that's the thing.
Hmm.
Like I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't answer work emails
Yeah,
anymore, and I'm still working on it.
yeah,
I'm not a saint.
yeah.
I'm still working on this process of my life. But like,
Hmm.
it's 5 o'clock. If it's like okay, if it's something that says urgent or whatever, I look and see what it is.
Hmm.
If I have to handle it, I will handle it.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's put it down. We deal with it at 8 in the morning tomorrow or 9 o'clock whenever I
yeah.
go in. And like it sounds
Right.
like that's something you need to do. And I guarantee I
Yeah.
feel like if you let that part of your life get adjusted,
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the things you want out of your, slowing down will come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. I think I spend so much time worrying about like how many hours. Like I've always been like, we've talked about this on one podcast where I'm like, I'm not a big fan of the 9 to 5, and like it's it. I don't like it, but I work it,
Yeah.
right? And so that goes into play too with this, like I want to live, like I want to focus on like simplicity and slowing down, but I feel like I work a job that doesn't allow me to. So how can I get to somewhat of that point? So maybe I'll try that. Maybe
Yeah.
just not be so
Just put 5 o'clock comes around, or
right.
whenever your end of your day is, like that's it. You're done. You clocked
Mm-hmm.
out, and then aside from that email you need to read or whatever that says here's the
Mm-hmm.
schedule for tomorrow, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go back to your normal life, and I guarantee you it'll enrich your life.
Probably.
You need
It
to take
probably
you
will.
need to take those same aspects of like what you were trying to do with Twitch or whatever, and like
Mm-hmm.
all this, like how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that in the off
Mm-hmm.
hours? And just be like, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Right.
Like, I'm going to go do this. This is what enriches my life. I'm going to go do the stuff that enriches my life. I want to go read books. Okay, go read books. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if it's something that you don't need to handle right then and there, you're done. Like,
Right.
and you'll get there. Like, it's hard,
It is.
and I
Would
think
you
part
say
of
that
it,
like
I think
go
part
ahead.
of it too is you're one of those people that I know doesn't like to let anybody down. So you feel by not putting in the 200% that you're letting people down.
Oh yeah. It's hard cuz I know lately I told Dustin, I said I'm going back to this job. I'm not going to overexert myself. Like I'm only going to do what is needed. But we've created this weird. I was reading this article the other day about the millennial work grind.
Uh huh.
And I think it's spilling a little bit into Gen Z, where the article is talking about how not dangerous, but how toxic this mindset has become of like grind, grind, grind to get that money. Like put all of yourself and your identity into like being that girl boss or that guy boss and like work, 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 that we're starting to lose this sight of like rest
Uh huh.
because it's become ingrained into our identity now. Like
It's
this,
become ingrained to us by the generation
yeah.
before it, the boomer generation, that is like,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't work, 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 there's no success for you. But their concept
Mm-hmm.
of work, 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 work worked in their thing, but there was also incentive to work, 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 work.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're living in this stagnant environment, and we're having this conversation about the minimum wage on. So again, we're not really political here, but this is just for the sake of example. We're going
Mm-hmm.
into this argument about the minimum wage thing, where it's like we're being told to exert ourselves 250, 300% with
Mm-hmm.
no incentive to do it.
Right.
And I get this, I use this statement a lot, is like, we need to stop paying people on a salary of hopes and dreams,
Mm-hmm.
by saying like, hey, if you do grind yourself till you're dead in the ground, you'll get what you want. Or it's like, I'll give you what you want. Oh, we can't give you the raise right now, but we'll
Mm-hmm.
give you this title that'll entitle you to a raise like a year from now or next year. We'll reinvent, like, look at this. It's like, no, if you
Mm-hmm.
want this from me, you need to give me incentive to do it.
There was this thinking about it, like my job had, and this isn't throwing anyone under the bus, this is just like a good example, but um this was like during the month of the wedding, right? So
Yeah.
October, I had called, there were days that I wasn't able to go to work, right?
Right.
Because one, I was getting married, like two, I was preparing, like I had requested these days off, they were in PTO. We had a work meeting, I think in like November, and my boss had given out like these gift cards that were like incentive for thanking people for basically people that had never called out.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like I didn't necessarily want the gift card. I don't care about the gift card, but there was this part of me that felt like garbage. Like, oh, like here were people, they were getting notice and they were getting incentive, they were getting a reward for being there every day.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be there every day. Like, and so there was this like, I don't know if I should just take days off anymore. When like before I had started the job, I was like, if I need to take days off, I'm gonna take my days off. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, like my boss doesn't like me. She doesn't approve of me because like the people that are here all the time and they're, like maybe I'm not working hard. Maybe I need to work harder. Like there was this Oh,
Interesting question.
anxiety.
How many people
Yeah.
of those people grinded for that card? Like, oh, I want that gift card at the end of the year. Blah,
No,
blah.
nobody,
Oh,
because we
okay.
didn't know about it. It was like it was just like the meeting where she was like, thank you for those that were here every day and didn't call out. Like, here's a gift card.
It's interesting. So you almost debunked my theory, but then I just,
Mm.
I pivoted.
Yeah.
Next year, you're going to have those people that are be like, oh, we got that gift card. I don't want to call out because maybe we'll get that gift card again this year. And da 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 da. The striving for, I'm going to guess, is under $100. It's 50 to $100 probably for this gift card, right? You
No,
don't have to
it's like,
disclose the
it's
amount.
way under. Yeah, I won't say.
You don't have to
anything,
disclose the amount, but let's say it's about
Yeah.
50 to $100, right? Rather than just pay the staff the extra $1.25 a week, it's like, oh no, we'll just incentivize them with this gift card, and some will make it and some won't. So we save money. Like, it's one of those things, and they're saving money because yes, there's not everyone's going to accomplish it,
Right.
and then two, they get write-offs for the gift cards anyway, their expenses. So like, it's one of those things where, again, it's like all this incentive, like, again, political realm of things, but it's like this whole situation right now with the shortage supplies and the supply chains and all that stuff, and how people aren't wanting to go back to work, or quote unquote people don't want to work. No, it's that
No.
people just don't want to deal with the torture at the rate that they're getting paid. It's not worth it to them mentally anymore.
Right.
The real solution to all of this is we just need to pay the people what they want.
Oh yeah, because it's I don't blame people. After, like, I don't know, there's just some conditions you don't want to work in because it's just not worth it with the pay.
We need to pay people what we need to pay them, but
know.
that's the thing that's standing, but that's all aside. Again, that's a whole politics for a whole completely different channel and show, and
That's
all
for
that.
Eric's political podcast.
Not
that you
happening.
Can find. It does not exist.
It does not exist. But yeah, that's where that goes. But I think, yeah, if you shut out those elements of work at the end of the day, I think you'll feel that your life is a little more enriched.
Yes.
And you have to force yourself to do it, Hannah. You just can't be
I know.
know,
Thinking about doing.
you need to do it.
I know. I always admire, like, because my best friend and I, we work together, and so what I love is her ability to set boundaries. And she's like, just mute the group chat, Hannah. She's like, just mute it.
Pao does
And I'm
that too.
like,
Pao has like a group chat with all their classmates and stuff like that. And I'm like, girl, stop.
There's always that one person that like texts at like 11 p.m. and I'm just like, oh.
Sir,
So I
go
did
to
that
bed.
like during our Christmas break. Like, I muted it. And then like, I
Nice.
think when I went back to it, it's like 123 missed messages. And I'm like, what could y'all possibly be talking about? Like,
So before we went on that tangent, you were going to ask me
Yeah.
something. Do you remember? You were going to ask me a question, and
oh, did I say I was going to think of a question?
no, you were going to literally ask me something. Like, you literally were like, oh, well, how about, and then you were going to ask me something. Do you not
Oh
remember?
man, I lost it.
It's okay, because you were probably going to ask me about the normalcy thing.
Yeah, probably, most likely.
So that's your segue.
Yeah. So here's the segue. So, how does adapting to normalcy look like for you, Eric?
How does adapting to normalcy look
Yeah.
like?
So what does that mean? What does adapting to normalcy mean? And is it similar to what I had said when I said simplicity and slowing down? Or are they very different things?
So this is one of those things where, again, like 2021 was like this year of like, I'm looking at everything I've done and looking at what I should be doing. And like, when I say like return to normalcy, I need to, and like I talked about this earlier, like I'm at the fact where I'm like, okay, I don't do this regularly anymore. Like, this is not a fixture in my life, which, okay, let me rephrase this, because the podcast is.
Right.
The podcast is a fixture and it's ingrained in my life now. Like, this is what we do. But the other aspects of it, the traditional get on stream X amount of days a week for X amount of hours, that is not ingrained in my life anymore. I do not schedule streams in my week anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do not do it. If I'm going to go and I'm going to do it, then I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. But I do not schedule them in there. There's no more Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Like, everything I was trying to do to make everything work I don't do it anymore. So now I'm coming to this normalcy thing where it's like, okay, how do I fill that time? Which is weird because I was running out of time to do things I wanted to do. But now that I don't stream on a regular basis, I have free time. Like, what do I want to do? So that's the return to normalcy thing.
Okay, that's what you mean by it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, what do I fill my time with now? So like, I was starting to go and look back at things like I did that I really enjoyed doing before kind of like streaming took over my life. And we're going to talk about this too when we look into the 2022 factor of this conversation in a moment here. But like, I'm finding myself, okay, like I'm going to read more. Like I'm reading more. Like I read every night before bed now. Like that's what I do. I bought I bought a new camera last year during the pandemic and I haven't really used it. So like this past holiday, I went and I got a bunch of stuff for my camera, extra batteries, extra memory cards. I bought a new lens, like all that kind of stuff. So like I can go out and take pictures again, like and fill my life with the stuff I used to do. Records, like I'm like going to the record store more. I didn't get to go to the record store as much as like, oh, I have to stream.
Right. I remember those days.
Yeah, like I have to stream. I don't get to go to the record store today. Like I have to stream. Same with like the comic book store. Like I don't get to go to the comic book store today. I got to stream. You know, and on top of that, it's like I got to go to the gym. No, I got to stream. Like it's those things where it's like, okay, like that thing's not a factor in the life anymore. So like, what do I fill it with? Well, now I'm just realizing, okay, it's not that hard. It's like, okay, I can go to the record store. I'm going to go to the record store. You know, if I want to spend time and play games with my girlfriend or go do a quick run somewhere with my girlfriend, I can do that now. You know, and it's one of those things where it's like, that's normalcy, like going back into this normal life of filling my things that I did before I dedicated I dedicated my life to something that I don't necessarily have to dedicate to anymore.
You don't realize how much time Twitch eats up until like
it's bad.
Yeah. I used to remember that too. Like we talked about it in one episode where I used to tell like friends would get upset with me if I wasn't hanging out with them because like I was like I have to stream, which I can understand both sides of the coin, right?
Yeah.
Like this is your career in a sense. Like this is what you want your career to be. So it makes sense. But then like I can also understand why people don't see it that way. And so but now you have
Whoa. I think you
Hello?
Did you mute yourself?
I unmuted myself, but then I accidentally hit my keyboard. So I might have hit like the mute button on my keyboard. What was the last thing I said?
We're gonna keep this in the podcast because Hannah she muted herself, boys. Hannah was so ingrained in this conversation that she was just like,
No, and I just look at Eric's face and like his like.
I thought something happened and I went straight to the frames.
Oh.
I'm like, wait, no.
What was I going? Like now I lost where I was.
Let me go ahead and rewind you back a little bit. So you were talking about how like you don't realize how much Twitch eats up your time until you're not doing it. Like this is what you want your career to be, et cetera, et cetera. So like how much time Twitch is actually eating up. That's where you were.
Yeah. Well, I've lost like where I was.
You lost
on
the tangent.
train,
It's okay.
Like, I lost the tangent. It was very emotionally like I had my hands everywhere.
You were talking about like your friends and how you didn't get to spend time with your friends and
how you know they didn't understand that and it's oh gosh, I don't even remember what I was saying, but I mean that could be left there. Like it's just it does eat up so much of your time. Like it really does. That's why I don't necessarily blame people for going to like 9-to-5 jobs because as much as I don't really like them, I could understand why there's like still that appeal because you know what to expect.
Right.
Monday through Friday, and you can make a schedule around it. My issues with it are for different reasons, but like, you know, how many moments in time have you missed or how many outings have you missed with your friends because it's like I gotta stream, I gotta do this, or how many tweets have we put out that have been like, sorry guys, I can't stream today.
Right.
Like
that's when I came to that conclusion. It's like, okay, I need to be honest with myself.
Yeah.
Like I need to not necessarily want to do other things, but I need to do other things right now.
Yeah.
and it's okay,
Or
you know.
how many hiatus posts can we put? I probably put like a dozen.
Right.
Like like my Instagram says hiatus right now, like the public one, the
Yeah.
Twitch one. But
It's and like I don't want to throw shade at people, but it's like the people that keep doing this, it's like, look, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself that you can't do this right now. Like you have other things you want to do and
mm,
other things you need to take care of in life. Like be honest and just go with it.
mhm.
And
There I'm sure there were a lot of people that were thinking the same of me. But I had to get to that point in my journey where I was like, okay, that's it. I
yeah,
gotta be
like
honest.
just be honest with yourself and it'll work out okay. You
Hmm.
know, like again, how many hiatus posts, but like that's my thing of normalcy where it's like, okay, like I'm filling my time with other things now. I'm starting to go back in like a normal life. Like I'm being a normal person with normal hobbies. And
Having hobbies is nice now. It really is.
and
Gaming is a hobby again.
on this normalcy like topic here, there has been nothing more fulfilling in terms of playing video games and stuff like that when I just get to sit down and do it for myself.
Mm.
And I can enjoy the game and like actually get in like immersed in something and not have to worry about chat. Am I paying attention to chat? Am I doing this, that,
Yeah.
this, and this? Like I can enjoy something. I can like, you know, I don't have to worry about missing moments in the game because of chat. Like it's
Right. So this can go like technically that's one of the things you're focusing on in 2022.
we're gonna get there. Like we're
Like
gonna get
right,
there.
okay. Yeah.
We're gonna get there. But yeah, normalcy is like the big one. Like normalcy and how I live my life like doing this whole thing differently now.
Mhm.
Was that your hard hitting
Huh.
question?
That was. I just wanted to
What the hell do you mean normalcy, Eric? Are we not normal? No, we're not normal. We're not normal.
uh
But so yeah, it's just like 2021 was an interesting. It's an interesting year.
was it better than 2020?
Oh God, anything was better than
Outside
2020.
of the whole COVID thing, like
Oh, outside.
yeah. Yeah, just like pretend COVID wasn't it's hard to pretend that it wasn't a thing because we were on lockdown for
It's so hard to answer that question because it
Mhm.
affected so much of what we could have done.
Yeah,
It
that's true.
affected so many possibilities of what could have been accomplished in 2021.
But you know what was interesting about 2020 is that a lot for that time we had a lot of time to get things done.
Yeah.
If you were quarantined or if your job closed because of COVID, we had a lot of time to do things. And I can say I wasn't one of those people that accomplished anything with having all
Yeah.
that time.
All
You
this
know?
time to do like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny because like you talk about them like they're separate years. To me, they're all the same year. 2 years
I
rolled into
have
one.
to because I forget about it. Like
Yeah.
I really do. Like I keep
Oh, I forget
thinking
about
like, oh,
2020 all the time.
it's weird. It's like in my head, I've just completely like shut it off, and like I'll be like, oh, that only happened this amount of years ago. I'm like, wait, 2020 was a thing in
Nothing
between
happened.
those. I know.
Nothing happened. Like literally nothing
Yeah.
happened. And now I'm just like, well, that's over. I hope 2022 is different. So, on that note, what does Hannah want to do in 2022? Like what are your things for 2022? I know you're not a resolutions person.
I'm not a resolution person. If anyone's ever kept a resolution in their life, like an actual like list, like please tell me if you did it, because I find that most people don't. Like we have these ideals and hopes that we have for the next year, but it requires change. It requires action in order
So let
to
me rephrase the
accomplish a lot
question
of
for you
these. Yeah.
then. What would you
Mhm.
like to have done in 2022?
I mean, this is like the one that everybody says, but I wish I would have lost the weight that I wanted to lose. But there's a victory in this is that I didn't gain any more. Like I've been stable, which is that's
Which
an
which a
accomplishment in
lot of people
itself.
can't say this year or
You're
the
right.
past
I
year.
know. Well, 2020 had me gain the COVID 20
Yeah.
plus 20 plus
Even
another
I went up.
20.
Like I went up 15
Yeah.
and
So it's I have to remind myself I can't be so hard on myself because we talked about that in
yeah.
the weight episode that we did with Ashley. I'll lose the weight and I will focus on it when I'm ready to focus on it. And I'm in that season now where I'm like, you know what? I think I'm ready. But I don't want to do this whole like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to lose 40
Right.
pounds.
You want to.
One of the things I had written down is I want to find some kind of joy in healthier habits.
Hmm.
So whether that's drinking more water, I don't drink any water, like, whether it's drinking at like, because I'm weird with water because like I work a job, I'm always not guaranteed if I'm going to use the bathroom right away, like if I'm in the something. So I don't want to like sit there and hold my pee, like,
Yeah.
and so I need to drink more water though. I want to learn how to cook, like, because I can cook basic, but I actually want to learn how to cook, like,
Oh.
so I enjoy healthier foods. Because, like, for so many years, healthy food to me was like that boiled chicken with a side of unseasoned broccoli,
Oh
like,
God.
and which made just eating healthy like horrendous and boring. And, I want to enjoy taking walks. I want to find an exercise that I enjoy, not necessarily the one that I think is gonna work. I wanna, like for example, I used to take boxing with a professional trainer, like, during before COVID hit. I loved boxing.
That's
Like,
what I want to like to change my workout
yeah,
routines up a little bit. I want to
mhm.
integrate some type of boxing or something like that into it.
It's so much fun, and I think it would help my anxiety and
Oh
frustrations a lot
God, you
because you
need
just,
it.
like, yeah,
You need to
like,
punch something.
I need to punch something without actually punching a person. So I going on like the health area, because the health area is something that everyone talks about with the new year.
Yeah.
I want to incorporate healthier habits in ways that are enjoyable and are maintainable, because for years I'm trying to, what's that saying? It's like trying to fit like a square
Oh, the
peg in like
round
a
peg in a square hole or
square
whatever,
box,
or a
right? Or
square
some
peg in a
whatever it
round
is.
hole. Yeah.
And so, like, I kept doing that thing where it's like, well, this is what other people are doing. And it's like, no, I have a different body type. I have a different lifestyle. I can't compare myself to every other
Right.
social media influencer on the internet that is telling me to lose weight. Like, the most important thing is to get started. And, like, technically, the studies show is that true weight loss begins with small changes and
Hmm.
increments versus like, I'm gonna stop eating this and I'm gonna drink water like all the time. And because then you get burnt out, right? You just
Are you not a fan of
it's
like the water packet, like the flavored packet thingies?
so my issue is Dustin's trying to get me off the kick of it. It's been so hard. I didn't think it was an issue. It's seltzer water. I love seltzer water, like carbonated water. I'm like obsessed.
Well, if
Like
you get like the LaCroix, which tastes like dirt in a can, if you get like LaCroix or something like that, they're not that bad.
I've been reading though that like the carbonation, like having too much carbonation is not good for your stomach though.
That's probably
Eh,
a true factor of thing. But
right.
like, have you tried like the little Mios or whatever, or the little packets that you spray and then you shake it?
I don't like flavored water. Like I like what I like about seltzered water, it's like it's got that hint of like a flavor,
Uh huh.
but it's like water. Like I don't like sweeteners or anything like
Uh
that.
huh.
But the what I'm realizing now is I was using seltzer water to have like a more of an enjoyable kick to water.
Uh huh.
But now the longer I've been drinking it, I'm starting to see myself take the occasional soda a little bit more now because I'm craving the carbonation.
Which is funny
It's
because
so
I
crazy.
actually switched. These ones are not as good. Like these ones, like oh, you get these like at your Walmart or your
Yeah.
grocery store. These are not as good, but these
Mhm.
have helped kick my like soda curve cravings to
Mhm.
like and not minimal because I still drink them on a regular basis, but it's
Mhm.
not as much as I used to. And these actually got
Right.
me drinking more water. But I also buy like the flavor pack. I buy like Propel flavor packets and stuff like that. And I have a Brita,
Right.
you know,
Oh yeah.
and I like I do that a lot. But like you can't be perfect. Like
Right.
you have to sacrifice something to get what you want out of it. But like
Mhm.
if you might have to just and get used to the flavor thing or the do the core old fashioned way, just squeeze lemon and cherry and stuff into your water.
Yeah, like I like water. I
Hmm.
do, but now I'm seeing to where like my little bit of kick of like the seltzer water, not even a little bit of kick, it's like I've been drinking it for years, has now become like, all right, well, I can accept the soda now. Like, and there's nothing wrong with having like soda, but like for years I have not purchased like, so those 2 liter
Yeah, or
bottles.
like 12 pack of cans or whatever.
Right. But now I'm starting to see that we're doing it. And I was like, I'm not a soda drinker. Like, but it's the carbonation.
Well,
Like,
no, part of it's stress.
it could be stress too.
Part of
Like,
it's
yeah.
stress. But like, just do it the old fashioned way. If you don't like artificial sweeteners and all stuff, you're gonna have to do it the old fashioned way where you either cut up water or cut up lemons, oranges, or whatever, and just
Mm.
squeeze it into your water.
Like, I got regular water here, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, trying to nurse it. But
If you are bad about like if you're self conscious about sweeteners or whatever, what I can say is
mm,
the best one out of all of them is is the stevia, the green packets. Those are the
okay,
most natural of the sweeteners.
okay. I've never like any of the Splendas and stuff like that. I've never liked the
Yeah.
taste of like a lot of those. So
Well, part of it
I
too
think
is
what it is,
like you use
mm,
less of it than actual sugar.
oh,
Like
okay,
half a pack of stevia is comparable to like a pack of sugar, give or take. But
okay,
stevia is the green ones. Like when you look for the green packet, that seems to be the
mm-hmm.
color for them. The green packets are the ones that are the most natural out of them. They're not perfect,
Okay,
but they're the most natural. Like the nutritionist, those are the ones she wanted. Like when I said I use stevia in my oatmeals and stuff like that, she was like, okay, that's the one you should be using.
okay.
So, tip for anyone out
That's
there
good.
and watching us or listening to us on Spotify, if you're trying to get the most natural of sweeteners, it's stevia, the green ones, or stevia in
I
the
will do
raw,
that.
which come in brown packets.
Oh
But
yeah, I've seen those
as
at
long
like
as it's
restaurants.
stevia,
Yes. All right.
what's
Well, I'll
the
take a
other
look
one?
at those.
Splendas, like
Splenda.
Splenda
Yeah.
equal sweet loans. Those are the ones that
Mm,
have studies that show that there's some kind of damaging risks to them. But even then, those need to be consumed in massive
yeah.
quantities,
I
like
used to have a friend that
beyond what
like
normal people
would
like
eat them.
consume.
Oh yeah. I had a friend growing up when I was a kid. She would just eat the packets because she
Oh,
loved the taste. I hated the taste of Splenda, and that's the part of the reason why I hate Splenda is like she used to like rip them open and just like take it, and I'm like, oh,
ooh.
I know.
So,
Anyway,
health. You want to get back on health. What else are you looking to try and do?
mentally on like a mental level, I want to work on attention span. I talked to you about this in our meeting.
You cut out a little
Uh,
bit. Sorry. You want to work on
oh,
your
did
attention
I?
span? Yeah, just a
Oh
hair.
yeah. So okay, so like on a mental health level, I want to work on my attention span. And I think a lot of people are having issues with this, especially because of the integration of social media um, and whatnot. And I made the point to you in a meeting, the last meeting, that growing up as a kid, I used to love watching movies. Like my dad and I would go see a movie like every weekend or every other weekend. And now I always say, I hate movies. I can't sit through a movie. And I'm like, I was a child then and I loved movies. I'm an adult woman now. And now I can't, like, no, don't bother me with movies. They take up too much time. I can't sit there. And I was like, it must be the attention span. Because I was going through TikTok the other day and I'm realizing how quick it moves, right? You
Yeah.
don't like something, you skip it. You're on Spotify, you don't like that song, you skip it. Like, and it goes back to like, I want to be more present and intentional in my life. And I got to work on the attention
Which
span
is funny
because
too, because you were
it's
talking
affecting my
about,
life.
well, it's funny because you were talking about slowing down.
Hmm.
Like listening to the record front to back forces you to slow down and like digest it. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same like a movie you sit and watch. Like TikTok is not TikTok and YouTube, which we're not talking bad about TikTok because that stuff's coming.
Right.
We're gonna use it like anybody else.
We're going to utilize it.
Like anybody else. But like it's a thing where it's quick blurps. It's quick attention span. It's bam bam bam, sell you an ad, bam bam bam, sell you an ad.
It's that boost, that quick boost of like serotonin.
Yeah, it's a quick serotonin
And we get
boost.
addicted to it.
Yeah.
It's quick serotonin boost and we get addicted to it. And I'm like, it was funny because I actually saw on a TikTok the other day, this girl was saying, it went viral. She was like, I'm honestly wondering about like the effects that technology is having on our brains now, because now I'm starting to notice how it's affecting my everyday life. And I was looking through the comments and a lot of people were like, yes, it's destroying my life. Like, I think now we're becoming more aware of it. So how do we, because technology is so integrated in our society.
So I've got a
So
funny
it's like,
thing to that to back up your
mm,
theory here
yeah.
or her theory. So people ask me like, why do I carry a tablet and why do I carry a Kindle e-reader?
Mm-hmm.
Because the tablet has all these different things on it that can cause me to close out the Kindle app and start browsing on YouTube or start reading Reddit or start reading
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, yada, yada, yada. Whereas the Kindle reader, the e-reader itself, it's just the book.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to deviate me away from the book.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
That's how
why
I
I
feel too.
carry both of them. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
have both.
That's why I won't read on an iPad. I have my iPad,
Right.
but I have a Kindle. But you will never catch me reading a book on my iPad because the temptation is too real
Yeah.
to use it for something else.
Yeah.
So
So, but
I
like
feel
that
like it's
answers.
affecting all of us.
It's been slowly ingrained into our brains, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
everyone is such a fast pace. Like, like scatter, scatter, scatter. And I guarantee you, it's whatever content they're watching. Somebody's out there like, bump to the ground. Let's get this done. Da 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 da. Knock it out, and let's move on to something else, and do the next
Mm-hmm.
thing. Yada yada yada. Which to be fair, I'm that way. Like we talked about earlier, like I'm that way. But like, so you want to start slowing down and starting enjoying things and appreciating things, your mental health and your sanity, and like your social media, like cutting out the social media probably was the biggest thing that helped your mental health to an extent.
I'll tell you, the Twitter, it was like walking away from that was the best thing. I can't say I'll never go back to it, but like I'm better without it, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting though how like my brain has found ways to fill that Twitter time with, like, when I had Twitter, I was never logging onto Instagram. Now
Hmm.
because Instagram is all I have, I'm logging on to Instagram a lot more. And TikTok, because TikTok's the thing now.
Yeah.
And so it's like trying to find that rush. Like, I think we're all addicted to it. Like, I can't sit here and say I'm not addicted to my phone. I'm on my phone all the time.
Right.
So I want to cut the crap on it and just, there's like that there was this thing I saw, it's like there's this huge urge for me to like live in a cottage away from the rest of the world, but there's also this like driving me to like live in the middle of downtown and like have a nice condo in the busyness of the city. It's like, what do I even want?
That's not
Like,
for you. Knowing like how
yeah,
LA, like I'm just using this as an example, but like knowing how
yeah.
LA is, it's not for you. You will visit here and you will enjoy it when you visit here, but you couldn't live here.
No, I know for LA, absolutely not.
And even if you decided to like come to California, because like you even thought you had a remote thought of the idea. I think you guys had like
Mm-hmm.
a remote thought of the idea, like, oh, maybe it's not that bad. You would be in a suburb like 40 to 50 minutes away from where I'm at.
Yeah,
Like you wouldn't
quiet.
be, yeah, you wouldn't be where, like where I was. I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
fairly quiet neighborhood, but like where I was, like in the central part of LA, you wouldn't have. I look
Mm.
at, oh, sweet child, you would have not survived.
No, probably not.
Homeless guy asks you for change, you'd be scared. Here. And then run, but
Well, what about you though? Like, I talked about health. Do you have any health and or mental health, wellness kind of things for your
so
2022?
a lot of people don't know about this. I know you and like Ashley and a couple of people that we've talked like in this community type of thing have talked about it. It's like I have about 20 to 30 more pounds to go. And I've been talking with the doctor with it because I think I want to go have the skin surgery.
That's right.
I
I
have
remember you
this
telling me
like,
that a while ago.
I'll show it here. Like I don't care anymore. Like I have that. Like they call it the bat wing, and this is all from weight
Mm-hmm.
loss. Like I
Right.
have the bat wing. I have it around my stomach. I have it in between my legs, like in my inner thighs and stuff. Like I have sags of
Mm-hmm.
skin.
Right.
And that's what happens. I lost 150 pounds.
You're
Like,
gonna have that
and at the
with
age I
that
did it,
weight
even if you're in
loss.
your 20s, like
Mm-hmm.
you still get signs of it. But like me, and when I did it in my mid 30s, like it's harder. Like your
Mm-hmm.
skin isn't as elastic. It's not as, resilient. And I get sags of skin. It's everyone that's lost as much weight as I have has it
Right.
to different degrees of levels, but everyone has it. So I was like, I'd like to remove because I'm starting to become self-conscious about it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because I went to lose the weight to help alleviate one factor of self-consciousness. And in that
Mm-hmm.
process, I created a new one.
Right.
I'm supposed to wear it as like a badge of glory and like a sign of pride or whatever, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
always work that way.
Now, let me ask you, if you did get the surgery, that would take off weight in itself, just that
Upwards of 20
skin.
to upwards of 20 pounds, 20 to 30 pounds, some people have
Okay.
lost just by removing the skin.
Okay. So wouldn't that be what's needed to reach that goal, or I'll
Well,
let you continue with what your
no,
doctor said.
because theoretically, if I remember right, I'm supposed to be between 220 and 250, give or take. Everyone's different. I have a pretty big
Mm-hmm.
build. So like I'm supposed to be around 220, 250, give or take, and look
Mm-hmm.
how I want to look.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at 290, 290,
Okay.
295. So if I get down and lose another 20, 30, that puts me at about 270, which and
Okay.
then when they do the skin will put me at about 240 to
Oh,
250,
okay.
and I'll
I see
kind of
what you
be
mean.
around where I want to be.
Okay. So it's
And
additional weight that needs
yeah,
to be lost, and then this.
yeah.
Okay.
Plus there's the whole thing where it's like I need to lose it and then I need to prove to the doctor that I've maintained it, etc., etc. And then you go and they decide if they do it, because my biggest thing is like insurance. It's tens of
Mm,
thousands of dollars to do it out of pocket, last I checked. So
okay.
I need to get to a point where like I can get insurance to approve it, because I am starting to get the effects of it. It's going to sound gross, but there's things like
Mm,
rashes and stuff like that you do
right.
get,
No, that makes sense.
friction, etc. So like I do get it on occasion, but it's not enough for them to be like, but it's going to get worse as I lose more.
Right.
So like that's the thing. Like there's like hell is like I'd like to lose the weight so I can go get the skin surgery, or at least start talking to my doctor about it, so I can finally be like where I've always wanted to be in terms of like my body.
Mm,
The second thing I want to do is like this has always been like this is a dying bucket list thing, and I've never been able to do it, but I've always wanted to learn how to surf. So like my goal is by summer to have knocked off that extra 20 to 30, and then I'm going to actually this
mm.
summer going to try to go out and learn how to surf,
That'll be
because
cool.
that's something I've wanted to do ever since I was a teenager, and I could physically never do it because I couldn't push myself up to get on the board.
Oh yeah, you
Like
probably
you're
have
in
to
the
have a lot
water,
of
you
like,
paddle, and you have to be
yeah.
able to push up on yourself and get yourself on the board
Oh yeah, I probably couldn't do
while in the water.
that.
So like
Yeah, I didn't even think about how hard that.
yeah, no, it's strength
Huh.
and it's balance and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And like, it's very difficult to do it when you're large, at least how
Mm.
large I was. So like, my goal is to learn how to surf. Like, I want to learn how to surf, and I will die happy knowing I learned how to surf. And that's just me being from Orange County and like by the beach and all that kind of stuff. Like, I've always,
Right. You probably see people surfing all the time, and you're like,
yeah,
ah, I want to
someday.
do
Like,
that.
I tell myself someday. And then as a secondary, I would like to go learn how to snowboard, like get out on a slope and learn how to
Oh, that
snowboard,
sounds fun.
and
That sounds
do the
fun.
stuff physically I couldn't do,
You couldn't do.
like I couldn't do
Right.
while I still have a little bit of youth left in me, like, and I can
Oh,
physically do
hush.
it.
Even when you hit 40, you're not even old.
Right. But as soon as I hit
Yeah.
50, like it's going to get hard to push up on that board and do that stuff, And then like if I fall and eat shit, it's going to like be real bad.
Right.
But like, no, so that's another thing I like to do health wise. Those are my health goals. Like I'd like to finish the weight thing and work on maintaining and staying where I'm at, and, you know, go to a normal life as a quote
Mhm.
unquote skinny person.
Although, I'm curious, would you ever consider yourself skinny, even if you got to skinny? Because when I was skinny, I never considered myself.
No, I never considered myself like
Yeah.
skinny, because
Yeah.
like I still have you know, there's a curvature to my stomach, I'm
Oh,
beyond the
same
realm
though.
of dad bod, you know, like it's still like
Uh,
I was never considered myself skinny. Although I will say, to give myself credit, I'm now in that realm of what are considered normal sizes.
mhm.
Like I'm in that extra large to 2XL range, which are by today's standards considered normal sizes.
That's normal for guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm in that normal size range. And then I'm almost to an extra large. Like I'm close. In terms of my lower body,
Mhm.
I'm almost to an extra large.
Okay.
So like I'm getting there. And then but like my top is fighting me. The gut is just fighting me. And it's
It's
the last
always
thing
the
to go.
gut.
Like
Yeah.
for everyone, it's the last thing to go.
Oh yeah. Because a
Almost.
lot of it's stress too. If you're stressed out, it's gonna take longer.
Yeah.
Also,
And there's
because
like
that's
things
where
like
stress hormone
water and all this kind
hormone
of
builds.
stuff that affects your body. And,
Yeah.
and then like, granted, the beard hides it very well, but like I'm starting to see like the sag in my cheeks and in my neck.
Mhm.
And it's like really,
Would they remove that too? Like, is that another thing that's taken off with
that's one
skin
of those things
surgery?
I want to
Or
talk to the doctor about
yeah.
and see
Okay,
if
I've
they
always
can do
been
stuff with
curious.
it, because it does age me immensely. it aged me
That
like
I've always thought that was interesting because I've seen like before and afters of some people that when they're bigger, like they look younger, and then when that weight
because
comes off, it does age them. Yeah.
that stuff people get, the collagen or whatever, to like
Yeah.
I had it naturally. I had natural fat in my cheeks to smooth it out.
Oh,
And then
okay.
once I lost the weight, you could see it here. And then like when I
Mm.
shave, you could totally see it here. And then here, it's just a disaster. Like it's just, you know,
I hate like this area. Like today I was looking in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, like my chin.
yeah. So if anyone
So,
doesn't know, it's like because if you're listening to this, like the chin area and my upper lip and stuff, like by my nose, I don't know what they call that, but the cheekbone area, like it's
mm.
very defined when I shave because of because of the weight loss, and I had looked age.
I can't picture you like clean shaven.
I'll show you one of the
Like,
pictures. It's recent. It's like from a year or two ago.
okay, I want
I'll
to
show it
see
to you.
because like I've only ever seen you with like what you have on.
Yeah, the
You've
facial
always
hair.
had that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
tried to do the full beard during the pandemic and it didn't go very well.
Oh, really?
It looked too patchy. I looked like Al Qaeda or something. It looks bad. It looked bad. I was just like, no.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was just like, no, this looks bad. But like,
You're like, nah, never mind.
but yeah, no, those are my health goals. I'm gonna guess you want to
Alright.
know what like my own personal
Yeah, we
life
could
goal.
share those. What's your like give me like a personal like goal.
So
Health, not
I've
health
made it a
related.
goal now. Like I'm gonna start small. My goal now is I would like to read at least 2 books a month, which
Mhm.
I feel is feasible. If I'm reading every night before bed, your average book I
Mhm.
should be able to knock out, every couple
Mhm.
of weeks. So my goal is to do 2 a month, at least one.
Okay.
If I can get a book a month done, but my goal, I guess when you put it in a year sense, I would like to get through 24 or 25 books by the end of the year.
Yeah, my goal is 22. And the
Yeah.
thing is like my goal last year was 21 because of
Hmm.
2021. I only did 10.
Yeah.
But I was on track. It was when I started back at work that I had stopped reading because I was so tired.
Yeah.
So I'm like, now I've been at work for a while. Like, it is easy for me to get to 2 books a month.
Yeah.
It is. I just got to make the time for it.
Right.
But I'm like
So
22. I'm gonna do it this time.
that's one of my simple ones. I would like to just start reading, normally again.
Hmm.
Um, I also want to start playing or start taking pictures again. Like I want to actually go and work on photography and get better at photography again. Like and actually
Good.
do artistic stuff with it. Because now
Hmm.
I have all kinds of time to fill, So it's like I want to
Yeah.
actually start doing stuff, and it still allows me to be creative,
Hmm.
and do all kinds of stuff. And like it's one of those things I've always loved doing. And this was one of those things I put when we talked the notes for the episodes. Like I wanted to start finding myself again because I lost completely who I was this past five
Right.
years. I sat and thought about everything, or I was like,
Hmm.
I like video games. Hell, I love video games. But like, does my love of video games define who I actually am as a person? And
I see what you're saying.
you know me personally pretty well. Would
Hmm.
you say like when you hear my name, is video games the defining thing about me? When you think
Knowing
of
you
me,
on a personal level, no, I wouldn't
you
say.
always associate me with like the music and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I've always associated you with music. Now, I will say in the beginning when we first met, I
Right.
always associated you with like that retro gamer.
Yeah.
Now that I know you like more on a deeper level, I would say that music is really like a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
You're more of like the music guy for me, but yeah, I don't right now I see you in video games as like that's just something you love to do. It's your hobby, but it's
Yeah.
not your full identity.
Right. It's not my identity. And like I
Yeah.
think about it as like I don't think it ever really was. Maybe I was trying to force it, Maybe I was trying to
Mm,
force it because I was trying to do this Twitch thing that just made like, you know, that made sense to me for whatever reason at that particular time.
mhm.
Where it's like, but maybe I was just forcing this whole video game thing down my own throat to try to make it seem like, like
Right.
this is who I am. Maybe this I know when like maybe reality that's not who I was.
Do I have an identity? That's a question.
I don't
Because I've heard
associate.
what other people
I
I've
don't.
heard what people have said,
I don't
but
associate your identity with video games either.
okay.
I think
It's interesting. Some people
I
do.
think your passion is in literature.
I see. I wouldn't even say my passion was in literature. On it, like it's interesting. Like my friends outside of like Twitch see me as like, oh, Hannah's that she's the gamer,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not gamers themselves,
Mm-hmm.
As far as like anyone that I met on Twitch, I don't even, probably the girl that didn't keep going with Twitch and hates social media.
There's definitely a nerdy culture about you.
Yeah,
There's like a
that's just usual.
nerd culture is ingrained in you, which is funny
Hmm.
because I don't think it's pop nerd culture that's ingrained in you.
No,
Outside of
no.
Spider-Man and like Captain America and all them, I don't think you can name any other comic book superhero.
I could like I used to read comics a lot, but I felt with comics how you felt with like the gaming thing
Yeah.
is when I was like more prevalent on Twitch or when that was like my main career. I'm trying to create this image of like nerdy gamer girl, and like I felt it was who I was, but like to be honest, like I haven't picked up a comic book since.
Right.
Like I it almost felt like when you are a gamer girl, you become the whole culture of gaming, the whole culture of geek
Right.
nerdism, right? Now I'm just like I can't say I know much about what's going on pop culture wise or gaming, geek culture
Right.
wise, but I play games, like I enjoy them. Um, but it's not like my full identity.
Right. Which
No.
is funny too,
It,
because like it like we were talking about earlier, but I was also saying it's like you pop culture wise, yes, you saw the movie or whatever, but like you couldn't have told me what comic book issue that big event, that big Spider-Man event happens. We're
no.
talking about,
Yeah.
what event I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about, but
So like you couldn't tell
no.
me what issue that actually happened in,
No.
you know,
No.
or like the other random fact of like spoiler alert, but this movie's 20 years old, is the stuff that happens to Mary Jane in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is what
Mm.
actually supposed to happen to Gwen Stacy, who was in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans.
Okay.
So what happens to Kristen Dunst actually is supposed to happen to Emma Stone, and
Okay.
Emma Stone dies. Like Gwen Stacy
Okay.
dies,
Yeah.
and then Spider-Man
Mhm.
becomes Spider-Man. Like
Right.
the critical thing, but they tweaked it for the new movie because multiverse,
Mhm.
but
Right.
yeah, you couldn't have told me that. Like you wouldn't have known. But
Right,
like that's
no, I
pop
wouldn't have known.
culture. That's pop
Yeah.
culture nerd stuff.
Right, and
But
that's
like I always associated you with like you're like that fantasy nerd. Like you're Dungeons and Dragons, like anything, but you just do it in
I l
books.
yeah, I do it in books. I like books with it. I like games that are like that. So like my honestly, like my top 5 games ever are World of Warcraft, Dragon Age, The Witcher 3. Uh, they got like the fantasy feel to them.
Yeah.
My favorite movie ever is Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Like
I hate
that,
Lord of the
that
Rings. We had this
I know
discussion.
we talked about this the other day and I was like, "What? Excuse me?" It's
Spoiler
okay because I
chat,
hate
Eric
the
does not like Lord of the Rings.
It's okay because I hate The Fifth Element. I know you said you never saw it, but, like, every time I say it, people get mad at me. I hate The Fifth Element. I thought it was, like, the worst movie ever. I'm sorry.
Which is funny. I'll go even funnier with this is because
Yeah.
most people that love Lord of the Rings think Harry Potter's dumb.
I love
But
both. I love both
I
so
think Harry
much.
Potter's better than Lord of the Rings. Fight me.
And it's hard for me to 'cau I love them both so much. I think I can't compare the 2.
Yeah.
Like, I really
No,
can't
you can,
because
but
they're
I will
both
take Harry Potter over the Lord of the Rings. I got through
right.
Lord of the
You'll
Rings
take
once and I was like, never again.
yeah. No, I love Lord of the Rings.
Never again. I won't do it again probably. You would have to pay me. But yeah, so like that's the thing where it's like I'm gonna go start doing the stuff that I've always associated with myself again. Like,
Mhm.
my records, my comic books, my books itself, like taking pictures and stuff like that, like playing guitar again. Like I'm trying to play guitar regularly again. Like those are the
Oh, that's good.
things like I'm trying to get back to normalcy where it's like who I was. I need to go retouch base with all the friends that kind of like my friends outside of Twitch that
Mhm.
fell wayside because I got ingrained in this whole thing. These are all things I want to fix
Mhm.
this year. I'd also like
I
to play games that I actually want to play, not because I feel
mhm.
like I need to play them on a stream or whatever.
I'm actually curious how many times we've purchased games based on the fact that we knew that the numbers were going to be a little higher if we were playing it on stream.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm sure I have a lot, but I'd have to go back and take a look at it.
Think about how
But
many games or how much you spent on games that you said you were going to play on stream, because that's why you bought them.
I honestly can even say, like, in all the times that I've streamed, I used to be like, "All right, we're gonna finish this game," and there's so many games I haven't finished.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, "I'm gonna finish a Breath of the Wild playthrough with you guys on Twitch," and never did it.
Yeah.
Now, like, we got through parts of the game, and I was like, "This just, I don't know. It just seems like
In
I've
all
created a
respect.
chore out of a game." That's why I give so much credit to people that start games on Twitch and then end the same game. Like, I don't know. I just have a hard time with it. Like, it takes me out of the immersion. I can't immerse myself in the game. I'm looking at chat and, you
That's the
know,
thing we were talking about with me earlier, where it's like I
yeah.
don't want to miss all this kind of like key important stuff. But like,
Mm-mm.
did you play any new games last year? Like anything brand new?
Did I play anything brand new?
Mass Effect Legendary don't count.
Yeah, I know that doesn't count. That might have been the only one.
Wow.
Wait, what came out this year? What did I play anything new?
Resident Evil 8 was a big
Pokemon
one.
Unite. I played Pokemon Unite for a little bit, but I
Okay.
didn't
No,
play it very
Resident
long.
Evil 8 was a big one.
I didn't play Mommy Vampire.
Yeah.
I wanted to play Mommy
Metroid
Vampire, but
Metroid Dread was the big one. Halo Infinite.
never played that
Um,
one.
like Forza was another big one. In all
Then
fairness, it was a slow year.
I was gonna say it was probably a slow year because I don't remember any big launches.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't. But what was one? One thing you had mentioned is to play guitar,
Uh-huh.
like to start. One of my things for the new year is I want to learn a new skill.
Oh.
So I I have an iPad and like it might be just be influenced because my husband is an artist, like, but I used to draw in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've kind of lost the skill. So I'm like, I kind of want to learn how to do it because I love when he draws stuff. And like, I'm tired of being the wife that's like, babe, can you just draw me this thing? I want to be able to draw the thing myself and not have to ask my husband for it.
So
Um,
are you gonna go grab an Apple Pencil, or are you gonna do it old
I
school with
have
the
an Apple Pencil already.
or are you gonna
I
go do
just
it
gotta
old school with the pencil and a pad?
see. I really want to learn digital art.
Okay.
I love the idea of like pencil to paper. Like that's where how I learned to draw, and I have like these old sketchbooks of drawings that I did. But I just love like how much you can do digitally and like the effects you
Mm-hmm.
can create and the colors, and you don't have to go out and buy like all this material and all this stuff. But I want to learn a skill. So whether it's drawing or maybe a new language, I'm trying to learn Spanish a little bit more because like almost all my coworkers speak Spanish, and
That's
I
one of the
live in
things
a
I need to finish up too. Truth be told, considering my
yeah.
last name, most of you don't know my actual last name, but like I'm full blood Hispanic. I don't speak
Mm.
Spanish all that well.
I want to learn Spanish so badly. And like I have Duolingo is great. And I've been able to learn a little bit to like I can pick up keywords. So
Mm-hmm.
my coworkers like they'll talk back and forth in Spanish and like I'll listen and I'll be like,
That's how
okay,
I am.
I'll be able to understand like what they're talking about based off of a word. Like if I hear a word, I'm like, okay, I know they're talking about this, but I don't know like the context of what's going on between
You're
them.
catching the
Yeah.
like you're catching the context, like you're catching the broad strokes of the conversation, just not the
Right.
fine detail. You couldn't communicate it
Right.
back, but you can understand what somebody's asking you or saying to you or something to an
Mm,
extent.
right. Not even like understand. Like if someone comes to me to ask a question and like if I pick up the word, I might be like, okay, over there. Like you go over there. But like they all speak English, but like I want to be able to like, communicate like in Spanish too, because sometimes they do forget and like they'll turn and they'll be like, oh sorry. Like
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's okay, I don't mind. I really want to learn. Like um so maybe another language. Uh it's just a skill. I want to learn a new skill because I'm not in college anymore and I miss being in school. I miss college. I miss learning. And I'm like, I just lack the patience and what is it? The self discipline to sit and learn the skill. So I got to get self disciplined. And then that goes back to the attention span and it goes back into the like, be more present in my life. That's the theme of this year is to be more present in my life and take it one day at a time, but like get rid of the distractions. A year
Right.
of like less distraction, more life.
Sounds like a good goal.
It is. I think so. Oh, and clear my debt. I want to do that too, but
that was gonna be like my last one because I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
I want to like it's in the back of my mind, but it's in the back burner, but I'm slowly starting to move to the front burner. I
Mhm.
want to start deep down in my heart. I really want to start planning out to where I can buy a house. So like I need to
Yeah.
clear debt. I
Hmm.
may have to work out a job situation or something that allows me to obtain the
Hmm.
money I need to, purchase a home. And I need to
Right.
start thinking about like where I'm going to actually plant like my feet. And granted, I have all kinds of
Right.
other factors in my life too that I need to take into consideration when making this
Hmm.
decision. But I need to. I mean, I can at least start planning, like, and start working myself into
Hmm.
the planning phases and work out a plan to where I can buy a home.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have that by the end of my early 40s. I'd like to own my home.
That would be good.
Hmm.
That I would like to own a home too, but we're not quite there yet. We
Yeah.
actually just got the approval to renew,
Oh,
but
good
rent
for
went
you!
up,
Congrats.
which I knew rent was going to go up. It's the market right now,
Yeah.
but like I guess another thing on my list is in order for us to like we can afford it, like cuz what we paid in for rent was like as low, like it
Yeah.
was like a good area we wanted it to be, and like we can still afford it even though there's the increase. But if it were to go any higher for whatever reason in the future and we decide we want to stay here, I want a career.
Right.
And I don't necessarily need like what I think a job's supposed to look like, but I want something that's going to be able to help provide for my family. Justin feels the same way, like because my job just does not cut it
Yeah.
with the pay. There's
Right.
just
That's true. And like
so to
that's
get
one of those things.
settled in a career, like
Yeah. Actually, that's where
the-
Pal's at with her life. Like she wants to finish school and then land her career and start saving so she can, get her own apartment, and start working on those
yeah.
stages of life. Like, but like, yeah, I think I want to start thinking about like buying a home. And
Is your heart in California? Like when you think about it, if you had the money right now for a house.
if I had the like, if I could have like, if I had the money, I had the approval, and I had everything, and I could be where I am, or at least remotely, yes, I would stay in California.
Okay.
Like I'm born and raised here, and honestly, there's so much food here that I'm gonna cry when I ever have to leave it. But like,
I don't know. I'm gonna keep trying to convince you. We convinced Ty to move to Florida. We're trying to get
I don't
everybody on
think
board
like
now.
I've thought about this more and more too. I don't think it's for me.
We just gotta get a second
Yeah,
visit out of you. We
I
just
don't
gotta.
quite think it's for me.
I
Unless
gotta
you
talk to
find
Pal.
me like, unless you find me in some like, you find me some cool hip part of Florida, or that section that where you live, and you took me there, and it turned into like a mini like Los Angeles or Seattle or something like that with everything I needed in the world, then yeah, I would probably consider it. But like,
Next time you come, we're gonna have you. We'll have more days for you to like enjoy the city
yeah.
because it was a lot of time.
Oh
We
yeah,
only
it was
had
a
like
lot.
that one full day with you, so we
I'll
still gotta
probably
take you to
like
the
if I go
donut place.
when I go back, I'll probably plan it out like a week or
Right.
something like that. I might even plan it out to where I can work out there and then spend time out
Ooh.
there, like, and I'll see what I
Yeah.
can do with it. But like,
Well, you and Power are always welcome. We have like an air mattress, so don't feel like you have to stay at a hotel. You can always
same
just stay
here.
here.
There's an air, I can get an air mattress. There's a corner of the floor right here by the door. Like you can, there's plenty of room for an air mattress there. But like, I guess to answer your question, like,
Hmm.
is my, I think about, there's a lot of places I think about. Like, I think about Nashville a lot. I've never been to Nashville, but just looking at
You've mentioned Nashville a few
looking
times.
at it, like, just like the scene and the Opry and all that. Now, keep in mind, yeah, like I'm an old guy. I'm not gonna be in all these clubs, but it had like, it looks like it has everything I would need, like in terms of like record stores and
Hmm.
like art and culture and stuff like that I'm always
Hmm.
into. I feel like Nashville might work, but I'd have to go. Like I'd have to go and see it.
Right.
I thought about Texas a lot too, but no,
Everyone's moving to Texas.
it's not
That's
in
the
my cards
thing.
anymore. I don't think it.
Everyone's moving to Texas and Florida. So
Yeah, like it's not like in my cards anymore. Pal mentioned like Phoenix a lot, like Phoenix, Arizona, a lot, but that's too
hmm.
hot for me. But I wouldn't be opposed to someplace like Flagstaff where it's cooler, like northern Arizona
Hmm.
where it's cooler. Las Vegas,
Okay.
no, Las Vegas seems too dead to me.
Okay.
And then obviously the dream list of places, like I've always wanted to live in San Francisco. Like San Francisco is always like a dream
Mm.
thing.
Is that just more expensive than LA? I'm
San
curious.
Francisco
Like,
is, I think, the second most expensive city in the world.
what's the
Second or third.
first?
London, I believe, is the most expensive in the world.
Wow.
San
Honestly, I
Francisco is
wasn't.
more expensive than New York.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
still.
she's
Well,
looking
I
it
want to
up.
look in the U.S. I'm looking at the U.S. Yeah, San Francisco is like number 2.
Number 2.
New
What's
York City is the first one.
Oh,
That makes
really?
sense.
New
Mhm.
York is San Francisco used to be more expensive than New York. I guess things shifted.
3 is Honolulu, 4 is Boston, 5 is Washington.
LA's like 6 or 7, right? 7 or 8.
LA is number 9.
Oh,
San
wow.
Diego is number 8.
Wow, LA dropped.
And
But
then Miami, Florida is 10.
yeah, see, so and I think the most expensive city in the world is London in the world. But
City
I like how we're looking
in the
this up.
world. In the world. Where is this?
It's some place we've never even heard of.
It's like hold on, I don't even know what that is. I don't know who this man is. It's in Israel.
Oh, interesting.
Tel Aviv. I'm
Tel
probably
Aviv?
butchering
Oh,
that.
okay.
Tel Aviv.
Where's
yeah.
London in that list?
London is number. London is number 17.
Wow, it went way down. It used to be like the most expensive city in the world.
2 and 3 for Thai is Paris, France, and Singapore.
Wow.
It's
Crazy. I
crazy
guess
though,
I'm way
'cause
behind
New
on
York
things.
City is number 6
Yeah.
in the world. Yikes.
New York, see, that would be like another dream one, like New York. New York would be so cool. I think New York would be so fitting for me.
I don't know if I could live. I like the idea of living in New York, but I think when I actually think about it, I'm like, I don't think I could live in New York.
If you can't handle LA, you can't handle New York. Like that's because see, LA's got car traffic, like right, like bad car traffic. New York has bad foot traffic.
Right.
So like, you know, it's one of those things where it's just like, but like I thought about Chicago. Chicago I always thought would be kind of cool.
No, that
Boston,
would be good.
like all these kind of cool places. But like I think about Nashville a lot. Like I would love to see Nashville and see if it would work.
I think I'll win you for Florida when we go on that Disney trip.
You're just gonna make me a tourist.
I know. Well, no, I'm trying to make you a resident. Like, we're just trying to get all our friends down here.
I think it's one of those things. It's honestly, I think it's one of those things where you actually need to come here and see why I'm here, and then take it back with you and be like, okay, he's gonna have a hard time leaving that because of this. I will say though, the cute little beach area was fantastic. That was a cool place to be, and the little like the hip like gentrifying spot where where the record store and stuff was, which I would go straight back there to Radioactive. Those guys were so kind. I look at their Instagram feed every day and I see if there's anything I'd buy from them.
Oh,
because they're actually really...
Oh yeah, because you could message them and they could ship it. Okay,
a lot of record stores do that where you can message them and be like, I'm interested in that, but like I hope something comes up then, because I would love to support them again. We're also on like Pal and I, like I'm trying, well, I haven't really gone over it with Pal yet, but like I'm trying to make it a more of a conscious effort to try to support independent businesses more. Like I'm trying
especially with the pandemic.
Like I'm trying to support local record stores more. I'm trying to support like I'm trying to get Pal into like I want to do this thing with Pal where we start going to like small bookstores, not Barnes and Nobles, but nice local bookstores. And support them.
That's the one thing I wish we had down here that we don't.
Yeah. See, it's hard to, so when you leave it, you're like, this is hard. I wish I had this.
I know. Knowing how you are. So, you know.
Yeah. But like we have like we have a local comic book store we go to, local like restaurant. But like I would like to start supporting smaller independent businesses. I have a vendor that I buy video games from, like all my old video games and stuff. I have a vendor that I buy specifically from at a trading swap meet, and I support his business. And like
so much of your life is ingrained there, you know.
Yeah, like it's just building a repertoire with people that, you know, like are really trying hard to make it for themselves, and like I can't deny that. But like, yeah, there's a lot of things I can do. We've been hunting for comic book stores that really are like the one, because we've gone to a ton of them. There's one we have in LA that we really, really love, and then but we want one more local that we don't have to like, you know, spend 30 minutes getting to.
Place.
Yeah, spending 30 minutes to get to. So like we're trying to find a local, but like I would like to start supporting more independent businesses, start being more of a local supporter of things. And granted, hopefully, you know, which we'll talk about in a second, but like hopefully this whole podcast thing we're doing or whatever gets big enough to where like I can help those people grow, you know, through it. Like oh, we go here, message these people, like, you need this,
Yeah.
go see this place. If you're in LA, go here. Like those kind of things I would like really, really like to do. I have another thing I want to do. So like
Mm-hmm.
going on with like the wanting to buy the home thing or something. I'm in the process of planning myself to declutter. So,
I gotta do that
considering
too.
as big of a nerd as I am, I have tons of collectibles and toys and old stuff sitting in storage and sitting in a closet at my mom's house and all that kind of stuff that I want
Mhm.
to unload.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
going to
get that.
sell it.
Oh, you aren't? Okay,
I
because
had
I'm
a
thinking of
lot, I had a
selling my
long
stuff.
conversation with my mom, and because a lot of it she bought me and my dad bought me over the years and stuff, but it's stuff that like,
Mhm.
yes, it's sweet and it's kind of was a gift and it's collectible and like, but it's not really something that I want to hold on to, or it's like it had like the emotional attachment to it isn't quite there. So like
Hmm.
I had a long conversation with my mom because it was her money that she spent and stuff like that, and I told her and I said, here's the kicker: is like instead of selling most of this, I would like to go donate it, and I think I'm going to donate it to a children's hospital or something during the holidays.
Ah, that'd
So
be
so
good.
for Christmas 2022, I would like to have most of that stuff sorted and organized and ready for donation. And
That's
that
perfect.
gave like that was the approval on my mom's face. She's like, if it goes to children, then I'm okay with it.
Aw,
You know, And that's like one of
I
those things.
love
I'm going
that.
to declutter and start unloading a lot of this stuff. It's
You don't
just,
realize how much you collect until you move,
yeah,
right?
a lot of, well, I didn't know how much it was until like, it's just, I realized this is all just sitting in boxes in a storage unit somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I need to unclutter that and let some of it go.
Wow, I feel that. I
That's
gotta declutter.
a lot of cleanup stuff I need to do. Cleanup life. 2022 is the cleanup life
Yeah.
year.
It's the cleanup from unhealthy habits and the cleanup of actual physical things.
So we've talked about us. So like now we're going to, like, we can talk about like what we want to do with this. And I know we don't have solid answers between you and I. We don't have solid actual decisions yet of what
No.
we want to do, but like we have
Mm.
ideas of what we want to do.
Yeah.
So like I think deep down, like Hannah and I both don't want to give up. Like, oh, I thought you were gonna sneeze.
I did. I
Oh,
did.
okay,
I muted my mic.
okay. Bless you. So
Thank
like
you.
we don't want to like completely abandon the whole content creator thing. Hannah nor I
Hmm.
want to do, but we definitely like talking about we want to do it in a way that works for us.
In a way that almost keeps us away from the things that we're so toxic about being
Yeah.
content creators. More
Right.
control over it.
Right. We want to be our own content creators.
Yeah.
Like we want to be in control of our own things and not let the outside influences of yeah,
Mm-hmm.
not let the outside issues influence what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about them and talk about how they can like we can do things differently. Like there will always be topics of discussion,
Oh yeah.
but like we're not going to let it affect like, how it does what we do. Like it's just not worth it anymore. So like we had ideas and we were rolling around with this thing. So like these are all very, very loose ideas. Like, but they're ideas we keep talking about, Hannah and I. So
Mm.
like we want to expand on this.
Yes.
We want to expand on this, but we don't want necessarily. We don't want like the only association of Hannah and I to be when us are together. Because Hannah and I are two very different people, and obviously we have we're two very different people that have interests in two
Mm.
very different things. So like we kind of want to expand on this whole thing, and time permitting and all that kind of stuff. We want to bring other types of content that allow us to express who we are in the ways that we want to express who we are. Like we have ideas,
Mm.
like we have the TikTok ideas. Obviously, we have the TikTok ideas. We're going to do content clips and stuff. That's on the list of things to do for 2022. So you can get clips of this podcast, et cetera, on your TikTok and your Instagram stories and whatever else platform comes around that's short form.
Right.
But like there's other ideas that we played around with, like where things, like Hannah and I can do as separate entities too, but have it be under this roof of good people. I'm not throwing.
Right.
I'm not throwing any curveballs at you right now, right? Because I feel
Well,
like this is all
I
stuff we
knew that.
discussed. Okay, like
No, we discussed it. I was just giving you room to like
okay,
talk
like
about.
expand
Like,
it. So
I
yeah,
didn't know if you were announcing names or if you
no, we
were.
haven't like made
No.
any hard
Okay.
decisions on anything yet, but we have
Okay.
ideas of like what we want to do. We also want
Mhm.
to do different podcasts of
Yeah.
different
Different
topics,
branches.
different branches of
Yeah.
podcasts under this umbrella, this good people
Mm.
umbrella. So I'll put the red flag out there, or I'll wave the flag out there. If anyone is interested in joining on board to the family and has a content idea, message me on Twitter, DM me on Twitter, or something.
Should I talk about? Could I give examples of some of the ideas that we're talking about,
Yeah,
like
go
for
for it.
us? Okay.
I want to see. I want to
So,
hear how like you see this in your head too.
so this is how I see it in my head. Nothing set in stone. I'm not saying that we are picking these topics itself, but so it would be an example of if Eric ran his own podcast on comics and something like that. Like let's say you did a podcast on comics and pop culture, geek pop culture, right? That would be Eric's. I'm not part of it. He is the host, but he does it under the good people,
Yeah,
right? Which,
the
or if
umbrella, the
I,
family.
the umbrella term, right? Or versus like if I started one on books and like we did like a little book podcast but it would be under the term like the good people umbrella. So, um, I have one of the ideas I have is, and we're still in discussion, is let's go to our love of gaming and we both play the same video game at the same time. We have a lot of time where we finish it, and then you could do podcasts about talking about the game or the decisions we made based on the game or so, but this is the idea. It's not
Hmm.
nothing set in stone. I'm not saying that we're doing it, but this is what we're looking future ahead.
Yeah, like a fun like let's play where me and Hannah play like
Mhm.
the same thing, like the same game. Or I thought like about this like because I took that idea you just said was like
Mm.
when I go back to Florida for whatever reason,
Mhm.
we get in the same room and we play the same game and we record us playing the same game in the same
Yeah.
room, and
That'd
then
be good.
like and stuff like that. So like on that note, as I've talked about the Twitch thing and all that stuff, and Hannah and I
Mhm.
have talked about this thing too. I know at least for me personally, I would like to give the YouTube thing a try for a while. I feel like it'll allow me
Okay.
to work at my own pace and do things that like play games and still enjoy it and still get the feel of
Mhm.
everything, but do it at my own pace and the way I want to do it and on the time frame like I want to do it. And it's like that
Mhm.
works like where we talk about this umbrella thing, and essentially like
Mhm.
looking at the structure the way Hannah and I are talking about, like Hannah and I are partners in this thing, but she's can have her type of content that she wants to have. And then we have like all that. That way we don't feel like we have to necessarily do everything and associate everything together.
Right. We're each our own individual personalities with our own individual likes. Like you can't catch me doing a podcast on comics, but
Yeah.
that's something that you love. I don't want to deprive
Right.
you of your love of comics if you want to talk about
Like
it.
we talked about, like the
You're
good
right.
example we talked about is like over the past couple years, I always did an end of 2021 or end of so and so year, like when we talked about all the video games and video game news that happened throughout the year. We
Mhm.
didn't do that this past year.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like there was logistic issues and stuff like that, and other issues that came into play, and like I said, stress issues and stuff that came into play. But like we would do that under a different show.
Mhm.
We would do that under a different show. But
Yep.
that's like kind of the idea. So like we want to build the umbrella. We want to build the umbrella is a weird term. Let's build a roof. Like we want to build a roof, and we
Right.
would like to build a little family under the same roof.
Multiple families.
Multiple families. So if there's
We're living
anyone,
multiple lives.
so like I'll speak for myself. I don't know necessarily how Hannah feels about it, but I will speak for myself, and I'll put the flag out there. If anyone is interested in doing some kind of content show, podcast, whatever it may be, about a specific topic that you feel that would be unique and interesting and fits one of us in the picture, like feel free to
Mm.
message me and then we can talk about it and get the ball rolling. You know,
Let's do it.
like something that we can, we build a family and have a bunch of different
Mhm.
shows and, do it's a project.
It's a project.
It's a project.
It is. It's a collaboration effort.
It's funny how
different.
how this like whole thing kind of like does, and honestly, on top of that too, it keeps burnout from happening,
That's true.
and it allows us to
Yeah.
kind of branch out and do, other kind of stuff and still be, committed to each other in a sense, but like it allows us to breathe and
Yes.
flow. But those are like
Exactly.
the plans. So like the first plan for the 2022 obviously is to get the social media stuff up in order. We want to get like social
Mhm.
media specifically for this umbrella or this roof, and get, the YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff rolling so you can all find
Mhm.
the content easily. And then, as we go on throughout the year, you'll see all the fun things that we kind of like develop and the ideas we come up with. I've had ideas for like reactions. How would you guys feel about Hannah reacting to skateboard accidents? I'm just putting
Uh,
that feel out there. How would you guys feel
if
about
you
that kind
want
of
great
video?
reactions from me, if you want like the perfect reactions, you put me in front of a horror game. That you want some good quality content right there. I know that that would do well, but I choose to not put myself through it because
Yeah.
I am a baby.
You know,
But it would be good. It
it'd
would,
be fun.
so
See, like someone in the chat just said, I just go outside and film my reactions or film my skateboard fails and see your reactions. But like, yeah, I feel like, how would you guys feel about like Hannah reacts to like skateboard bails? Because I can tell you right now, I don't think Hannah's ever watched a skateboard video in her life.
I've seen like people like literally like their board flips and hits them in the crotch or something. Like I've seen those,
Yeah,
but
those are
I mean I
tame.
can't say that
You haven't
I've.
seen the bad ones.
Oh no.
Oh, we got to do this.
Bad ones, like a skateboard to the crotch sounds horrible. How is that not a bad one? Like, how much worse could it possibly get?
Content coming soon, folks.
Listen, I don't want to see anyone's like bones break to where I see their bones sticking out. Like, please don't do that
Why
to
you got to
me.
spill the content? Why you got to spoil the content?
That's what you're gonna do. Like,
I would never do anything overly disgusting.
I just think of that one time. Remember what was it? That one basketball player from a few years back, like his leg gave out on him, and you see like the bone.
Oh,
Does anyone remember this?
or how about the what's it called? How about the UFC fight where he kicked him in like the shin and then you just see his like ankle flop?
Oh, oh my god.
See, this
Oh,
is
I
what we're
don't
paying right here. That's perfect. Can I just clip
see.
that and use it for something? I don't think it was George. I think it was Andrew Silva or whatever. He was one of the famous ones that like kicked the guy for UFC. He like kicked the guy in the shin and it like his
Oh,
shin just started flopping.
oh my. Oh.
See this face? This is the face we need to get on film. We have it on film. We'll just fill it in. Oh, Paul George was the basketball player someone mentioned in chat.
I don't remember who it was, but I just remember when it was like being talked about, and
She was
like
just
I'd seen
mortified.
it.
All Hannah remembers is
Oh
she was
god,
mortified.
that was like it's like one of those things you want to forget about, but you can't, because like, ooh. Anyway.
Oof.
Oof.
Well,
Anyway.
that's it. The first episode of 2022 is in the books.
Yay! We are finished.
We're
That was a
finished.
fun episode.
That was a lot of fun. I'm so glad to be doing this again. We'll be back very, very soon. We're gonna schedule the next one because we're actually both of us talked about it, like we're actually really gonna buckle and commit to an upload schedule.
Yeah. You guys will be proud of me. I like filled out like my part of the content like an hour before the actual
She
broadcast.
did the homework in the last minute. She was like, "Oh crap, I got to go to class," and then she started writing a report. But we hope to see you all again very, very soon. Hannah can
thanks
go ahead
everyone
and
for watching.
yeah, Hannah can go ahead and spill out her social, the one social she has.
The one social I have, Instagram, which that's not even being used, but go ahead and give me a follow on there. It's Instagram, it Hannah TV. You can find me on there. It has the big old letters that say hiatus, but sometimes I check it. So, but we're getting around to fixing the socials, people. Don't worry. But you could also follow me on Twitter or Twitch, not Twitter. Ooh,
Yeah.
Twitch.
I was like, wait, what?
Twitch.tv/ithannah. I don't stream much, but hopefully I can pop on every once in a while.
You did do a wedding one. Like you did a post-wedding one not too long ago.
I did.
It was very sweet.
Yes.
It was
I
very
am
sweet.
married now. There's like moments where I'm like, I'm married
I
now.
know.
You know? There's a man here.
Yeah.
He's playing Destiny. He's like very ingrained into it right now. So, but go ahead, Eric. What are your socials? Where can people find you?
Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Erik, ERIK _DA_nerd. You can catch this podcast on Spotify, Apple, and I believe we're on Amazon and stuff like that now. So
Woo.
you can catch us there. If you got your primary podcast listening of choice, you can catch us there. Other than that, we'll be back again very, very soon, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. This has been this has been The Good People with Erik and Hannah. I'm Erik.
I'm Hannah.
And we'll catch you guys very, very soon. Y'all have a great day, and I hope the new year for you starts off great.
See you soon.